We're going to get a tour of Belle Mountain School. While Jennifer and Jeremy talk a little bit about the Belle Mountain School, they're going to give us a walking tour, which is really cool. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to give you a quick, we're going to start off with the exterior of the campus so that you can kind of see where we're located and what it looks like to enter the school. Let's start. Give us 1 second. All right. So because we are in the school, in person with K through 12 community, we are wearing masks. So when we're inside the building and touring with you, we'll be wearing our masks. But I'm Jennifer Belle, I'm the lower school admission director at Vail Mountain School.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeremy Thielen. I'm the middle and upper school director at Vail Mountain School. What you're seeing is an outside view of our purposeful 95,000 square foot campus. The really brief history of Vail Mountain School is we were founded the same year as Vail Mountain. We've grown with the resort and the town. The property that we are on is a homestead property. And if you look over here, we can see the cabin back in the distance. That is the original homestead cabin that we have moved in our second property here. So, lovely place here in East Vail. I'm gonna hand it back over to Jen.
Yeah. So we're gonna take you on a tour leading up to our front door. I'm gonna give you a spin, flip you around so you can see what it looks like to enter the Vail Mountain School campus. Morning. Get a friend, got a guest. So, as we head into the front of the building, you can see that we have a front courtyard with some grass and a stone table up ahead, some stone wall. This actually has been invaluable this year, especially in terms of coordinating outdoor space for students to learn when we have been, impacted by the pandemic. We've got some kids studying outside right now.
One of our outdoor classrooms. We're very lucky to have forest, pond, stream, and mountain ecosystems right outside our door that we use all the time.
Awesome. So we're heading into the front door. And the first place we're going to arrive into when we head into the front entrance is what we call our common. Thank you. So if you haven't been here in this part of our building before, the common is meant to have this grand entrance, but also a sense of warmth and comfort. You sort of see this living room type of atmosphere. There's also various types of seating, access to the front door. And this is a place where you would often find our students working individually or with groups. You'd find teachers working here, sometimes students working with tutors, and at different times, parents and guests, homecoming dances, sleepovers, you name it, we do it here in the front common of the school. You can also see that our mission is posted here on the walls of the front beautiful view window. So build community, seek knowledge, and develop character, actually the mission pillars of Vail Mountain School. And as we walk around, I think you'll see the many ways in which we infiltrate those foundational aspects into everything that we do, every decision that we make for the benefit of our K through 12 students. So as a quick reminder, Vail Mountain School is a K through 12, all gender school. We are non-denominational. We're the only school of the K through 12 independent accredited type in this valley. And we are accredited by the Association of Colorado Independent Schools, as well as the National Association of Independent Schools. Next, we're going to show you our theater. So we're really proud to be a partner with many of the community events that you've often seen around Vail, such as Bravo, Colorado, international dance, and we have an incredible facility in which to host community events, but also for the benefit of our students. And we believe in a robust specials program for all of our students. In this space, K through 12 students enjoy theater as a class, not as an after-school program. It is an elective after the lower school. And we're excited to be able to offer, theater and music and visual arts and many of the other rich enrichments to students for K through 12. So you've got lower schoolers, kindergarten through fifth graders, having specials twice a week at Vail Mountain School, and that includes music and theater. At middle and upper school, as I say, it becomes an elective. Another thing that we do in this theater is what we call town meeting. So once a week, the entire division of students comes together, and we give children an opportunity to develop their public speaking skills. They'll be on stage even as young as kindergarten, and every year thereafter through their town meeting and other events that we put on. We've got a quick switch. I'm going to hand it over to Jeremy.
Use the whiteboards to do homework together. There are sometimes, you have a paper that's due the next day, or a test that's coming out, and we also have whiteboard tables in here, so students can, they can collaborate. Increasingly be prepared.
All right, sorry about that. Thanks for bearing with us. So we were just finishing talking about the library. We would probably love to point out really quickly a few pictures of outdoor education. So outdoor education is a major pillar of Vail Mountain School's philosophy. We want children to be outside in this beautiful place that we live. We want them to become stewards of the earth. But we also want to give them opportunities to be in cross-age groups so that they can make bonds and friendships with their fellow students, their teachers. And in addition to that, this is how students actually develop that resilience and grit that everybody talks about. You put kids into situations that are slightly outside their comfort zone, and you have an opportunity for them to grow while doing something amazing and memorable. They'll remember forever.
Hi, guys.
All right, Jeremy's back. Jeremy, you take over.
Yeah, how much time do we have? There is a lot of design into thought into the design of the building. Where we came in the front is big and open because it creates a sense of safety and comfort. And that safety and comfort is really important for our students to take the necessary academic, emotional, social, artistic risks. Another piece that we have, the school is K-12 under one roof, and we do not keep our big kids away from our little kids. We do believe that our older students learn from our younger students the same way that our younger students learn from our older students. And to that end, we have 2 hallways in our school that are about 2 city blocks long. And this is intentional, and it is designed to mimic passing your neighbors on a sidewalk in a town. So on any given day, all of our students see our other students. Now this year is a little more unique where we're kind of keeping them all separated as much as we can. So we're going to cruise past a 2nd grade classroom to our maker space. One of the, we talked a little bit about education being a combination of both skill and content. And one of the skills that we think all of our students should have is the ability to problem solve and be a design thinker. And this is a space where students explore solving problems. And we use a very humanistic, empathetic style of design thinking where we understand their end user and we figure out their problem. We come up with some ideas. We try those ideas, and then we tweak them to get better and better. So this is actually based on the Stanford University's design thinking model. This is a space that started to be used by middle schoolers. As they get older, they have options to go as far as they want with this. We have AP computer science classes. Sometimes when we're making the low resolution, low fidelity prototypes, we're just using cardboard or drawing. But as those prototypes get better and better, we might use a laser etcher, or we might use 3D printers, or we might use a virtual reality lab. Every student has a device, and they are iPads for the little guys, and then they go to Chromebooks up through 7th grade, and then 8th grade and beyond is bring your own device. Every classroom has a Mimeo or a smartboard, so we really don't even need, just like a library, you don't need a computer lab, but we did want one dedicated space where teachers can see all the screens easily, where they can mirror them up and collaborate with each other. Just as a quick aside, a 5th grader made this a few years ago. We needed a space to put our headphones, and so it took him about 4 or 5 prototypes, but if you look around the room, you see them everywhere. When that 5th grade student comes into this classroom, his shoulders go back because of the learning that he did and the project that he did wasn't just like playing school, it was actually solving a real problem. We are also thinking about where does technology and art come together? We're thinking about form and function all together. I love coming down here. They've got all the good stuff. There's a 3D printer working. We have green screen. We practice technologies. But you also see saws and arc welders. It's all about the design thinking process. It's not just a technology class. But speaking of technology, the technology goes all the way down to kindergarten, where they start to learn coding in their kindergarten classroom. We've had to repurpose a bunch of our spaces due to COVID. This used to be a choir room, and now it is a upper school history room. So that's just an example of what we've all had to do to adapt and adjust. This used to be just a office room, and now it is also a 16-track recording studio.
These incredible art projects represent our house program. So we put kindergarten through 12th graders, one from every grade, into a group at the beginning of a school year. Instead of going to homeroom once a week, we actually foster the relationships between these K through 12 students in house. And so art projects are one way we enjoy our time together. We also play games, and we also ski together on all school ski day. We put kids into their groups of K through 12 students, enjoy a beautiful day on the mountain, and fulfill our mission to build community while also building stewards of the earth. Either way.
We understand that everybody is different and learns differently, and this is one of the areas where we can support different types of learners. We're not a special needs school, but we do embrace different types of learning as a form of diversity. We also recognize what happens in our students' lives affects their academics and vice versa. So to that end, we do have 2 full-time school counselors. Dr. Drescher also has a fully trained therapy dog named Beignet. Beignet knows about 45 commands, probably has more education than I do. Part of the learning process of art is displaying the art. And so there's art all over the school. It's kind of like the performance. And again, you think about what we're trying to do with our students before they leave, is have that understanding of themselves and their learning. Music, art, world language are all great content areas for students to learn about themselves. If you think about an artist statement or a performance, they reflect on how it went and what they did to get. So.
For tomorrow, lab. Becker is excited for what we're doing tomorrow. What are we doing?
An upper school environmental science class.
In the art lab.
In the art room, again, this is what we're doing. And this is the other art room, also known as the art barn. Hello, Miss Sabella. We have a very robust music and art department. In high school, students can take a minor or a major of art. If they take a minor, it's like, you know, I want to take ceramics, or I might take theater so I can be in the play. but we also have a track for students that want to build a portfolio. And we are sending students to RISD and Parsons and other schools of design. So again, if it's artistic, athletic, academic, whatever your thing is, this is a good school to see how far you can go.
We'll take a trip now down our hallway and see a few classrooms. We're going to pop into a hallway just up ahead, in which you will see our commitment to combining our students and not separating them by age or division. So in this hallway, you can see that we have a fifth grade classroom. Every room in this building is open cubby, so we have no locked lockers. It's a commitment to our character building. At 10:20 every day, we have snack break, which means the entire school takes 15 minutes to have snack and maybe a recess if you're in the younger crowd. It's an incredible way for us to make sure that we incorporate movement into our students' lives and make them healthy. We've got a 10th grade or upper school humanities classroom here with a Harkness table, which encourages dialogue, the Socratic method really to allow deeper learning by discussion. Also a great way to keep kids engaged in their learning when they're sitting around a table. We've also got in this corner a kindergarten classroom right next to the upper school. Kindergarten's getting ready to go outside for a recess. Looks like we just finished an art class. Kindergarten, happy place as usual. And across the hall, a middle school history classroom. So as these kids are packing up to go outside for recess, we've got these incredible whiteboard tables. We've got these wiggle chairs, which allow students to move while they're in class. Let's face it, sitting still for 6 hours straight is not easy for any of us, especially children. It's a great way for us to continue to incorporate what kids need, stay on a student-focused education. And now we're heading down the hallway. Kids are moving. It's a busy place. We're gonna head down the hall and see some science classrooms, some labs.
Yep. All of
Kids
our
are everywhere.
Yep. This is, again, you can see that natural, organic mixing of all the students here. This really helps create the family atmosphere that we have where everybody sees everybody every day. We believe in a science that's place-based, and that basically just means helping students understand their relationship to a place and how one place is related to another place. And ultimately, that creates more of a citizen scientist. We do want our students to understand where they live here, but we also want them to protect where they live. And so having that connection with place helps do that. We also believe that science is one of these content areas that we should be doing. We shouldn't be talking about hands-on science, lab-based science, take it outside science. The learning becomes way more authentic to the students when they're actually doing it instead of just filling out worksheets or anything like that. So, and this would be a middle school science classroom. We'll visit an upper school science classroom in a minute, but you can see even at the middle school level, it's geared for doing experiments and hands-on science. Whoop. Here we go. How are we doing, guys? Hi, kindergarten. Cool. And here you can see an upper school physics classroom. Again, it's geared for doing things. It's not geared for just sitting there and talking about it. World language is one of our core classes here, and that means that everybody, kindergarten through 12th grade, takes a world language every year. Starting in kindergarten, in the first couple of years, they do half years of Spanish and a half year of Mandarin, and then they pick one and specialize. And then they have options to switch when they're in middle school and high school again. Once they get to high school, we think it's a good idea for them to stay with their language and get a little more proficiency. At the core of what we are is a college preparatory school. It's a graduation requirement to be accepted to a four-year college or university. And for us, it is all about finding the right fit more than a name. Ladies, how are we doing today? What do you guys got in here today? Philanthropy and service group. Nice. Philanthropy service group is meeting in here. And this is our college counselor over here. We do start our college process in 9th grade, and then it ramps up in 10th grade. Normally we would be visiting college campuses in 10th grade. I don't think we'll be doing that this year. By 11th grade, they're taking college counseling as a course, as well as meeting with our college counselor one-on-one. By the time they hit the beginning of their senior year, they will already have most of their college essay done already. And then it's just a matter of getting the applications completed. So there's a lot of ways to apply now. There's like 9 or 10 ways to apply to college. It's way different than a lot of us when we had like, you know, a read school, a safety school, and a middle school, and that was it. It's way different. And part of the benefits of VMS education is having a great relationship with a fantastic college counselor.
Okay. I'm taking you into a lower school classroom right now. This is actually a 5th and 4th.
Yeah.
So we have 4th and 5th graders share the same 4 teachers for science, math, writing, and reading. So this is a group of 4th graders. And as I said, it's 10-20 break. So the kids are having a snack while reading, talking, socializing. But we're excited to have a pretty flexible curriculum for these kids. You've got differentiation occurring for every type of student, whatever they might need. If they're a high flyer, they're going to have customized learning that is more geared toward what they need as a student. If they're in need of assistance or support, we're providing that through our student support services group. They push into classrooms as opposed to remove students from classrooms so that they will get the instruction assistance that they need without being separated or ostracized for any lack. We're excited to have that team also be able to support those high flyers as well. We're back down here on the 1st floor. Got a school store going on right here. We have another kindergarten classroom. Kindergarten, always a fun place to visit. Hi guys, how's it going?
They usually stay in the classroom during break because they can't eat and walk at the same time.
Yep. We do have 2 kindergarten classes. We actually have 2 sections of every grade from kindergarten through 8th grade. And then in the 9th through 12th grade, we have 3 sections. The average class size is 15 students, but in lower school, that can vary more to 13 in kindergarten up to maybe 16 or 18 in a 5th grade classroom. We're now in the dining hall, which is a happy place for many of us. Right now, this room contains half as many seats as you would normally have in our typical dining hall, and that's due to COVID. But the program that we are lucky enough to enjoy for lunch is provided by Sage Dining. It's a school-based catering company. They actually provide us with 2 hot entrees and cold sandwiches, salad bar, soups, you name it. It's embedded in our tuition, so it's a high quality, all-you-can-eat lunch program. In addition to that, though, we consider lunch to be another class. We're lucky enough to have our faculty joining our students at lunchtime. And so what we do is put cross-age groups of kids at tables. They're assigned tables so that they will sit together with their classmates. Let's say you're a 4th grader, you'll sit with 2 3rd graders, another 4th grader and 2 5th graders, and a couple of a teacher. And you get a chance to have, great conversation over meals, and we model good, behaviors and great nutritional choices. And it's another way for kids to build the community with one another. And from there, I'm going to take you through to our greenhouse. The greenhouse is a lower school special, just like art, PE, music. They come to greenhouse once a week. The curriculum built and taught by our same teacher who teaches AP environmental science. And this is a place where children get a chance to plant, harvest, taste. I've seen these students making green smoothies or salsas and sometimes seasonal foods, but an opportunity for them to really delve into some botany, some ecology, life cycle information. The kids love it in here. And middle and upper school students can also find their way into this area with their science teachers.
The greenhouse is nice to support our global curriculum. It helps students understand that we are all connected through food and resources, and we can have some nice in-depth conversations on where our food came from and how far it had to travel to get there. Um, but again, it's magical and hands-on and tactile for our younger learners. We're coming into the back, and this is called the auxiliary gym. We're in the middle of a very robust discussion on how we're going to use this during the winter because this is a coveted space to say the least. Our main gym over here, you can see, looks a little bit different now. It's used as a dining hall. We can move this wall and make one super big gym, but sometimes we need to have two separate spaces. Again, you're going to see us using our outside spaces. Even the lower school PE class, I believe, is going to be, when it gets cold and snows, they're going to be having a big unit on cross-country skiing so that they can go outside. But this is what it looks like as we come right out the door. The soccer pitch itself does not have ground-up tires, those black beads that get in your shoes. Instead, it has inert polyelastomer beads, which are healthy for the environment and non-cancer causing. Also underneath the soccer field, we do have a full concussion pad which dissipates impact. It doesn't guarantee safety, it just makes it a little safer.
So as we head through the gymnasium, we're actually going to go into our fitness center. And we got a big crowd of ninth graders, so we're going to have to navigate around.
Guys.
Hey guys, how's it going? How are you? All right, we're headed in. This fitness center is a fabulous representation of a facility that can really support the kinds of athletes that we often see here in Vail. And so we have families who will move here to Vail just because they want their kids to pursue a high-level skiing career or snow sports career. So this fitness center, modeled after that, which was built by the ski club and exists in Midterm, is a place where you'll often find some of our high-level athletes working out before school, working out after school, dryland training, and fitting that all in alongside the tutoring program that Vail Mountain School provides so that students can pursue that sort of heavy travel and on snow training that they need to do to be competing at that level, but then still get a high quality education from Vail Mountain School and land themselves at an Ivy League. We've also got this incredible climbing wall accessible to our lower school students, for example, through their PE class. And then middle and upper schoolers can choose to partake in the middle school and upper school climbing club, competitive or not.
We also have a great relationship with our folks over at Stedman Philippon, and we have a fellow come and be our trainer, and they switch out doctors like every 8 or 10 weeks. We get another new young doctor from them, so it's great to have them as a trainer. And again, under normal circumstances, this would be our gymnasium, and it would be shared by students from all grades. But as you can see, it's an auxiliary lunch station, and this is basically what lunch looks like for our students these days.
We cruise by the Wall of Fame.
Yep.
The numerous students who have graduated Vail Mountain School in recent years, gone on to play college sports, is vast. Our sports, boy, you know, lower schoolers don't compete in sports as a school, and that's pretty common. We've got the local club sports for the younger K through 5 students, but as you get to middle and upper school, I'll let Jeremy take over on that.
Sure. Starting in middle school, we do have VMS team sports, soccer, basketball, lacrosse, basketball, skiing. When you get to high school, you can add tennis and golf. Colorado does have reciprocity, meaning any sports that we don't offer can be played at another sport. As it turns out, soccer and skiing go well together. We have a very strong tradition of soccer here as well as skiing. We are one of the academic partners for Ski and Snowboard Club Vail. And in our middle and upper school, we have over 50 elite snow sport athletes. Sometimes when they get to be sophomores, juniors, seniors, they might scale back from skiing for ski club and just ski for Vail Mountain School because they want a more robust experience, maybe be in the play, the musical, do robotics, whatever. But they still like ski racing. So as it turns out, we do pretty well when we compete as a school. So some of these students, you know, they're probably state champion, or they are state champions, but they weren't even the best ones in their grade. So there's lots of different levels of skiing. Yes, we do Ski Fridays. That is a real thing. It may end up being Ski Wednesdays this year. We'll see. But starting after we come back from the holiday break, every Friday from until mid-March, classes stop at 11 o'clock. Buses pick us up here, and we head over to Golden Peak. And we actually do pickup through the valet system there. That's very nice of them to help us. So there's lots of levels of skiing, from Ski Friday to Ski for the School to our partnership with Ski Club Vail. Not surprisingly, we do have a disproportionate number of Nordic skiers and alpine skiers. We do have a few snowboarders and a few freestylers, but there's a certain mindset that a distance runner or a Nordic skier or an alpine skier has. And it tends to make them very successful in the classroom as well as very successful on the snow. So to that end, we have a disproportionate number of students that are doing well on podiums as well as.
Oh, hi, we're back. That kind of concludes the physical campus tour. What I think we'd love to do is mention a couple more elements and then open up for any questions. Oh, I almost forgot to show you the fun pictures on our walls. This is every graduating class since
We opened
1974. And in these pictures, we actually can find our current registrar, our current school counselor, our current math teacher. There's a lot of folks who are bringing their own children back to Vail Mountain School and repeating the cycle, telling us that they can't wait to give their kids the education that they personally enjoyed and changed their lives. So these pictures show you how once upon a time a class at Vail Mountain School was maybe 12, 15, and now we graduate a class of about 40 students, and that is a maximum amount. Vail Mountain School does not have any plans nor physical ability to grow, so we are done. We are maxed out at capacity of 445 students. And we're incredibly happy about that size. It feels like a sweet spot for us.
Is there anybody on the call that graduated from VMS and we can embarrass you in front of all of your colleagues? I think we have many local real estate people here, but I just don't know if they're on the call.
You know, sometimes folks want to ask us where families relocate from when they are calling us at Vail Mountain School. And while the majority of, our kindergarten class comes from the local community, there's always some folks who are moving in for the first time, but the majority of families that give us a call are saying, we're moving to Vail, we're coming from, and if you can name a city, state, or country, we're probably experiencing some demand from there. We've had extraordinary demand this past summer. We've been able to, we were probably at 95% for the summer. And when we continued through this summer and it is unlikely pandemic took hold, we were in a situation to really speak with families from all over and have enrolled 100% of our capacity. But we continue to see that, in this kind of an environment in this valley, families do make changes. They can move here for a few years and move on to somewhere else if they choose. They might have a second home here. It's quite common for families to come and enjoy the time here, especially when they're looking for a lifestyle change, or maybe when their current school district isn't operating as they would have expected or would like. So they're bringing their kids up here to Vail Mountain School. And for many of those families, it's a choice of moving when and if their student is accepted to VMS. And for some families, the educational factor is number one in their decision to move. And we're here to support that. It's great to meet all these families and to kind of bring fresh, new folks into our community every year. It kind of makes it fresh and exciting, as opposed to that small class of kindergartners who once upon a time would have grown up with the same group of 12 kids all the way through 12th grade. Not that way any longer.
Absolutely. To Jen's point, and like I mentioned when we were up near the support services, is we embrace diversity in all kinds. I believe when I started 12 years ago, we were at 6.5% of race, ethnicity, diversity. We're close to 13% now. But that's just one more way of defining diversity. We know that diverse classrooms benefit everybody in the school and everybody in the classroom. And so however we can embrace that, and that could also be socioeconomic diversity. To that end, we award over $1.4 million in need-based assistance every year. This is not, can you slam dunk a basketball or play the violin? This is need-based assistance. We are very proud that we work with all of our local families, particularly to try and find out solutions. And we're also extremely happy that through the COVID, we did not lose any of our families due to financial reasons, that we worked with everybody to make sure that we could bridge them through this. Just like you guys, we were very nervous when we shut down in mid-March and then held our breath for about a month. But about a few weeks after that, you guys started getting calls. We started getting calls. It's our belief that the way things are headed, particularly when you have families that value education as high as our families do, they're looking for something. And one of the things they're looking for is here. So we do anticipate continued strong interest here in the school for this upcoming year while things still settle down. The same way I would vaguely predict that you guys are going to have strong interest in the real estate market for another year as well. Because I'm an expert in everything, obviously.
So,
yeah,
I think Jeremy and I can sit here by the fire and talk to you if you have any questions or want to know anything additional about the school, the admissions, or anything else.
Do you have like any sort of internship program with your students? I know you mentioned like it's college, really like college prep based. Is there, do you do internships in the community with your students?
That's a great question, Mel. As seniors, they are required to opt out of all of their classes except their math, science, and or the AP classes that they might have at second semester and do a senior project. The senior project, they get to pick whatever they study. And we know when students have complete control over the curriculum that they're studying, they'll be more engaged and take it to higher levels of understanding and use. The senior project can be creative, it can be research-based, it has to have a real world component. All of our students, when they're in high school, they know the difference between playing school and doing stuff that's real. So the senior projects have to either have an internship, a series of job shadows, a series of job interviews, but some sort of component which holds them to a real world standard. Again, we want them to know the difference between what happens inside the four walls here and the real world is not exactly the same. So while we don't have a required internship program, it's certainly an option as a part of the senior project.
I actually have two questions. If we have a family who is interested in admission, where do they start? And then did I hear you say the school started in 74? Because I thought it was before that.
So the school started in 1962 by some of the founders in their basement. We went through their basement. We went through bank board rooms. We went through hotel conference rooms. We were above the gondola in Lion's Head for a couple years or a year. So every time like the gondola would come in, the whole building would shake a little bit.
The first graduating class graduated in 1974.
Oh,
13 years later. Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
And the other question was?
If you have families who are interested in Vail Mountain School, what we would recommend is one of two things. Either direct them directly to us. We can chat with them. We can converse to find out, what's important to them and what their timeline looks like. But our website is comprehensive. The admission application is at www.vms.edu. /apply would be the easy way to get to the place where you can begin an application. But having a conversation with us is great because it'll allow us to kind of give a family an indication of, how busy is that grade or that division, what their time frame looks like, whether they still have an opportunity to apply. We do rolling admissions. So even though in a typical cycle, we would have families applying now and receiving an admission notification in February, rolling means that as long as we have space, we would continue to enroll children. So if a family decides they're going to move in May and they contact us, we will go through the admission process with them and we will find out if there's any opportunity to enroll their children, if it's a great fit for them.
I did get a question by email. What is like an average for tuition for a student?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, looking at next year, and it hasn't been set. Well, I just need to put a little caveat that this last year, one of the things that we did to support our community was we held tuition at the same price right as the COVID hit, and everyone was nervous. So notwithstanding the tuition increase that we didn't do, we're looking at about a 3% increase this year. So I think lower school is going to end up right around 30. Is that right, Jen? And then I think middle school will be right around 32, and upper school will be right around 33.5 is my guess. It hasn't been approved. Our current year tuition is on the website. It is lower than that. It's like 28.9, 30, and 31. So.
Yep, and we do provide robust financial assistance to families who qualify for that, especially in this valley. We do find that socioeconomic diversity is a pretty common way for us to diversify a population here. And so providing assistance for families who would like to pursue a Vail Mountain School education is absolutely available. And we give out $1.4 million in aid each year, approximately, to try and make that a reality for families.
And every other year, and this is one of the years that we're doing this, we do have one merit scholarship, and the merit scholarship is the Taft-Conlon Scholarship. This is for rising ninth graders, so students that are completing 8th grade this year. It is a full ride to Vail Mountain School for 4 years. This generally will generate some additional interest. We're looking for the best and the brightest in our valley. It's for a local student. Through this process, we find a number of other students that we end up enrolling as well. But the Taft-Conlon Scholarship is being offered again this year, so I just wanted to put that out. It's our only merit scholarship that we have.
This is Joanna Kerwin. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, Joanna.
Great. A great presentation. Wow, I volunteer for the dance festival, and I could not believe how wonderful the food is that Sage makes for your students. So I was really impressed. So thank you. That was such a treat. My question is, what's the total staff number at the school, and then how many of your staff are teachers? Thank you.
So we have it's like 68 or 70 teaching staff out of a total of about 82 or 84 on staff, and that includes some part-time as well and paraprofessionals.
I have a question here. Your academic focus looks excellent. Do you feel well equipped to prepare children who are not academic and need more support and direction?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll start that one. You know, as a philosophy, we believe that education should be transformative, and we want a wide variety of students to join our community so that we can enrich the experience for every one of our students. So there's no entrance exam or IQ test to be accepted to Vail Mountain School. Admissions are so much more on a holistic basis, and we want to know what kids can bring to the table, from their character to their hobbies and talents to their academics as well. And so there's always a combination of considerations and to bringing new students into this community and helping it be the most well-rounded group that we can make. I'm sure you have something to add to that.
She knows me. I think all of our admission processes start with the overarching umbrella of, is this an environment that we see that student thriving in? Do we see them happy here? Is their existence going to be one of joy? And that sounds kind of hokey and holistic, but right underneath it is, are they ready for us and are we ready for them? Can they do the work? Can we challenge and support them? There are some instances where it's not a good fit. For instance, this open area here, the Common, if a student needs to be micromanaged, or if they need a teacher to tell them what to do all the time by the time they get to high school, it might just be too open and too provocative for them. Generally, you know, we will work with families on either can we provide the resource or can we partner with a family to provide the resource. But there are a few instances where the needs of the student, we just can't be met. So our former head of school, Mr. Abusey, did believe that, like Jen said, that this education is for everyone. That's why we don't have a high stakes entrance exam like an ISEE or an SSAT like a lot of other schools might have that are independent schools. And it just becomes trying to ascertain that super important question of, is this an environment that we see that student thriving in and being happy? If they're underwater every single day, regardless of their social dynamics, that's not a good existence. Vice versa, if they have a great social life, or they don't have a social life, but they're these high flying and they don't fit with any of the kids, then that doesn't work as well either. So it's got to be a good two-way fit, and it's got to be holistic. It was Jen's idea. I was going to give Jen credit for giving the idea of, like, instead of doing a presentation, we should do a tour. I thought it was great. Thank you, Jen.
Well, we're
No,
glad
that's-
that we're able to show you the inside of EMS, because at the end of a presentation, as what we would have recommended anyway, come over, have a look, see for yourself. The energy that exists in this building is different from any place I've ever seen children learn, and I think it speaks for itself. So thanks so much for being here with us. We appreciate it.
All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm Kim Walter. I am the principal here at the Eagle County Charter Academy. We are the charter school located just off the highway. We're about, I think it's maybe 50 feet, maybe 100 off of I-70. We're the school that you see as you're heading west. We're on the left just before you see Battle Mountain. So Eagle County Charter Academy. We are a public school, and I'm going to dive into all of that here in a moment in my slideshow. But I've been fortunate to be the principal here at ECCA for the past 10 years now. We have been a charter school in the state of Colorado in Eagle County for 27 years. So I have a deep history here. Our mission is to create lifelong learners, productive global citizens through a challenging college preparatory curriculum and character education. And I'll get a little bit more specific. Let's see, what am I used to turn? There we go. ECCA at a glance. We are a kindergarten through 8th grade school. We have 356 kids. We are a public school, as I talked about earlier. We're working hard to make sure that that word is out there. We definitely, through our own analyses throughout the county, recognize that many communities think that we're private, even though we've been around for many years now. We are public school, free public school. We are a district authorized charter school, which is a little bit different than Stone Creek, who's our other partner charter school here in Eagle County. They answer to the state of Colorado. We actually answer to the Eagle County School Board. So a little bit different there. We are open to any student who resides in Eagle County. We do have students all the way from East Vail at the far end of our county out to Sweetwater. And the majority of our students are between Avon, Edwards, and Eagle, but certainly we cover the entire gamut. Enrollment into ECCA is held via a lottery system. We have we're lucky enough to have more interest in the school than we have spots available. We in the past have held our lottery in January. We're very happy to share that we've moved that date back to March, which leaves our lottery open longer. It is currently open, and you can get there either through ecca.org or through the school district website. The school district is actually hosting a lottery for all of their open enrollment schools, and we're partnering with them using the same system that we've used in the past. If there are families who were part of our lottery in the past that choose to stay there, they will automatically be rolled up year after year, and we reach out each year and ask families if they desire to stay in the lottery or if they would like us to pull their name. And I'll keep waiting for you to interrupt me just in case there are questions as we go. We have very strong core values that have been around this school for 27 years, and it starts with children first. All of the decisions that we make are based on what is best for kids. And I'm proud to say right now we're living one of those decisions. We are 5 days a week, full-time school during this whole COVID craziness that's happening. And I'm proud to say so far, knock on wood, wherever that might be, we have not had any cases at ECCA. And we've kept the cases low throughout Eagle County in our schools. So we're all very proud to say that we're happy to have our kids in our schools. We host high standards. We believe strongly in a sense of community here at ECCA. I'm a strong believer in a K-8 school. The nice thing is you get your kids in early, and typically the same administration is going to watch those kids go from kindergarten through 8th grade. We get to know families. Families get to know families. It just provides a great opportunity to build community around a school. We believe in effective communication. We use all forms of communication to engage our families. We believe in innovation and creativity, trying out new things all the time, especially during this time of COVID. We're experimenting with some new ideas about how to improve education for all kids. And then finally, character education is very important here at ECCA, and those are our 6 hawk traits that we recognize students for on a daily basis and on a quarterly basis when we see it in a regular way inside of a classroom. we will celebrate a group of kids. What is a district authorized charter school? Again, we're just going to keep saying that word, that we're a public free school, like any other public school in the district. There is no tuition, there is no financial requirement at ECCA, and the more that we can get that word out there, the better. We are run by a separate school board. It's a 7-member school board. 5 of the members are parents here at ECCA, and 2 of the members are teachers at ECCA, one representing our lower school and one represents our upper school. So a lot of oversight here at ECCA. We do manage our operating budget independently from the school district. And what that means is that we, every student in the state of Colorado who attends public schools has a certain dollar amount attached to them. It's about $8,300, I believe, right now. And that money would come through the school district directly to ECCA. And then ECCA has the opportunity to spend it as we see fit on a per student basis here. We're also allowed to determine our curricular programming separately from the school district. And in some places we align and in other places we don't. We're proud to say we offer small class sizes. We have ranged in our past 27 years between a class size of 16 and as we have grown and we have this new building, this wonderful building that we have to help pay for, we have had to grow our class sizes. Our kindergarten and first grade are at 19 and 2nd through 8th grade are at 20. We do not anticipate growing any larger than that for many years to come. So I think we'll probably hang around class sizes of 20. We have highly experienced staff with 6 to 8 teaching assistants that support all over the school. It allows us to pull small groups for reading. We call it our flooding program, and we work with kids in groups of 4 or 5 to teach reading. We'll flood a grade level with 8 persons, 8 teachers to help teach reading. We do the same for math in the afternoon. We have a centers-based program for math, which again allows us to individualize instruction for kids of all abilities. Which brings me to the 3rd bullet there, and that's that we offer a full spectrum. Any student who gets into ECCA will be supported and will be taught. It does not matter. We run the full continuum for cognitive as well as special physical needs. So we're able to meet every child's need and ability. We actually purchase our special education services from the school district. So we have the plethora, same opportunities as you would get at any other school inside of the school district. And the same goes for gifted education. We do offer many specials classes, art, PE, music, library, technology, Spanish counseling. It runs the gamut, lots of opportunity for kids to learn and grow. Typically, not in a year of COVID, we have enrichment opportunities that we do on Fridays. We call it Friday Enrichment here at ECCA, and it's about 16 Fridays throughout the school year where kids are off on field trips or they're off engaging in hands-on learning, doing different things. Some of the things could include mountain biking or kayaking. We have 4 ski days where we all go out as a school and ski, and we're able to provide ski passes to families who didn't purchase a season pass and or cannot afford to purchase a day pass. So we make sure that everybody gets included in all of our enrichment experiences at ECCA. We do have a free reduced lunch program here that is self-funded and takes care of the needs for any student who was to come to us. We do offer an after-school program for K through 4, and then we offer a homework club for our 5th through 8th graders to get their work done after school. We have the same middle school sports that are offered at all of the other local public schools. And although our kids travel for football, some will go to Berry Creek Middle School and some will go to St. Clair. We just don't have enough students to have a team, but we offer the volleyball, the basketball, wrestling, all of the sports. I know I'm forgetting some there, but anyway, all of the sports. And then we have many opportunities for clubs and after school things that kids like to do in a normal year, not this year. It's just the strangest thing that's happening to us this year. We want to make sure to address the common misperceptions about ECCA, and I couldn't have said it enough in this presentation, but once again, we are not a private school. We are a public school. We're free. We want everybody to feel welcome and invited and encouraged to get into our lottery. We do not have a special application process or special requirements. As I've described, we do have a third party that hosts our lottery. ECCA does not host our lottery. And actually this year it's just running through the school district anyway, using a company called SchoolMint that we have used for the past, I think 6 or 7 years. We don't charge tuition. We do have a pledge that we ask of families. It is $1,000 per student. About 70% of our families make somewhere between a $10 pledge and $1,000 pledge. So it doesn't really matter. It runs the whole gamut of pledges. And about 30% of our families make no pledge at all. Those pledges that come in are how we managed the resources for the teaching assistants, those 8 teaching assistants that I referred to. That's how we go about hiring those. I think the rumor out there is that we have this mandated parent volunteerism, and the truth is that when you open your doors to volunteerism, what you're really saying inside of your building is that we value parents in our building, and you're really saying to your staff, and your culture is all about inviting families and parents and grandparents into classrooms and to really be a part of your community. So I do believe in the past that it was mandated volunteerism, and is no longer mandated. It's strongly encouraged. And like I said, the flip side of that is the way that you feel when you walk into a building that encourages parents and families to be there and really finds ways to engage them in their child's education. And that's where ECCA does an outstanding job outside of COVID. We don't exclude any applicants. There's absolutely no reason that any student who was in our lottery wouldn't get in. We just can offer any service that they have or that they need. And there's no reason to not be at ECCA. And I think that was my presentation. So I don't know if there are questions.
Hi, this is Joanna Kerwin. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. Where do most of your students go for high school after they graduate from your school?
You know, I'm proud to say they go a lot of places. Truthfully, we have students who go to VMS. We have students who go to Claire, or I guess it's Vail Christian. I get the two confused. It's Vail Christian High School, Battle Mountain High School, and Eagle Valley High School. The majority, we have 40 8th graders typically, and maybe 50% go to Battle Mountain, and then the rest are kind of spread out among those other places. We've also had kids go to the Rocky Mountain School. So it really varies year to year. I would not say the bulk has ever all gone to Battle Mountain. Good question.
And then I guess I have another question. If one sibling is in the school and they were selected through the lottery, if they've got a younger sibling going into school, will they automatically be accepted?
Thank you. Thanks for letting me clarify that. Yes, siblings and staff kids rise above the lottery wait list. So a sibling, they're not automatically admitted because we keep our class sizes to 20. We don't go beyond 20. But it does move them to the top of the list so that if there was movement in that grade level, that sibling or staff kid would be offered first.
And one more question, thank you. How many students aren't selected a year in the lottery throughout, all the grades?
Yeah.
Because you're full.
Yeah. So we have about 700 students on our wait list. So a large number are, unfortunately, we're not able to offer spots to. Probably the most likely opportunity to get into ECCA is at kindergarten. We have 38 kindergarten spots. Typically 15, 16 of those go to siblings of older kids in ECCA and to staff kids. So that leaves, around 20 spots available to outside students to be able to come in. So kindergarten is the best way to get into ECCA. However, I would say we've seen more movement over the last few years of students exiting the Eagle County, the Valley, which has opened up spots in other grade levels. We have one, for instance, it's moving to Florida next week. And when that student moves to Florida, we automatically go to the next name on the wait list and we'll offer a spot. So we're constantly offering spots as soon as they open, even if the school year has already started.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say the lottery is an annual thing. So if you were in a first grade and your child got number 50 in the lottery, which wouldn't be likely they would get in, for second grade, we redo the lottery again. So your child may be offered number 1 for second grade, which would mean the first minute there was an open spot, whether it was during the summer before second grade or during that year, you would be getting a call from us. So, you know, we say to everybody, don't give up, that your lottery number is not permanent. It's on a 1-year basis. And we redo all of the lottery numbers each year using the system School Mint. I also want to add in for all of you, we are looking to be more diverse than we currently are. And we have tried for 27 years to be more diverse. One of our limitations for sure has always been transportation. We're proud to say that we started offering transportation from Eagle River Village and Lake Creek Village last year in an effort to inspire more families in those neighborhoods to consider ECCA and to get their name in our lottery. Our lottery was always weighted for families who applied for free or reduced lunch. They received a weighting of 3 versus a weighting of 1 for other families. We're also going to weight those 2 neighborhoods this year. We're experimenting with that. It's not legal to weight on anything based on other than FRL. You can't weight based on gender. You can't weight based on race in your lottery. However, you can weight it based on a neighborhood. So we will be weighting, giving students who apply from Eagle River Village or Lake Creek Village a weighting of 3. Again, in an effort to continue to create more diversity here at ECCA, we also recognize that we're able to provide that school bus from those 2 neighborhoods so we can guarantee transportation to and from school. Other questions?
I actually have one. I know right now your max capacity is 356 and that your building is fairly new. I remember it being built. Do you all have the capability down the road, if as our community grows, to expand to include additional students?
Great question, Melanie. So we have a 40-year contract. We're one of the only charter schools in the state of Colorado with a contract that's 40 years. That's really unusual. Most of them are 3 to 5 years, and then you cycle through and try to get renewed. So we're lucky we have a very long, sorry, I'm going to admit someone here. We have a very long contract. Part of that contract defines the structure of ECCA, and it's clearly we are not allowed to add high school, and we could add a preschool if we had the space, but we don't. So we're kind of limited in the layout of this school here. We added 10 additional spots coming into this school year. Last year we were at 346, so we can add up to 10 in any given year. And this year's addition had to do with concern coming out of the state of Colorado about budgetary constraints that we were feeling from the legislature, which did actually happen. There was a 5% decrease in funding. So we added more spots in order to help cover those costs. But we could never go to a 3rd grade level anywhere. We're pretty limited in what we currently offer. And we are not allowed to add a high school. We tried it years and years ago, 20 years ago, and ECCA was not successful in adding a high school. We just couldn't maintain the numbers back then.
This is a light crowd today. When we do these in person, we usually have a room full, but I'm happy for everybody to be here. I know these remote meetings are difficult. I do a lot of these and you lose that in-person touch, but I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys and your interest in the school district. One of the first things I want to do is just say thank you. After coming out of the election on Tuesday night, the community supported our 5B question that was on the ballot to renew a mill levy override. And we received 73% approval from the community. And that's an unbelievable level of support. So I'm really grateful for that. I think one of the reasons that support was so resounding is because we're open. and we're one of the few school districts in the state to have in-person instruction. And we've been doing it since August 25th. So even in this COVID pandemic, we're operating on what we call a modified in-person instructional model. So for our youngest kids in elementary school, including middle school, we have 4 days of regular instruction. We've tried to put every certified person that we can into classrooms, which has taken some people out of intervention roles or specialty roles, and now they're running their own classroom cohort. That has gotten class sizes quite small. In elementary, our average class size now is 14. And that also means that if there's an incident of COVID, what we're doing is quarantining that individual cohort and still allowing the rest of the grade level or school to remain open. So our overriding goal this year in the midst of all this craziness is to safely keep as many students in school for as long as we can. We know that their best experience is with peers, with teachers in classrooms. So to maintain that is our priority. So we will shut down schools if we need to. So speaking later today is Wade Hill, principal at VSSA, and he is principal at our first school that we had to shut down for quarantine because he had a high number of students and staff that were going to be quarantined, and it would be unmanageable to try to do that both in school and remote at the same time. So it was just, I think, more reasonable to transition that whole school to remote for a couple of weeks. But we're proud that we're open. It's a hard task to ask of teachers and students and parents. I think especially for our high schools. Our two biggest high schools, Battle Mountain and Eagle Valley, are on a hybrid schedule. So that means they have received in-person instruction on Mondays and Thursdays for one group, and then for the other group, they're in school on Tuesday and Friday. And on the alternate days that they're not in school, they would be engaged in instruction and assignments and tasks that their teachers prepare for them, but they're working on it on their own for the most part. Sometimes they're assigned to group work on those days to do virtually in online group chats. But those days are not off days when they're not in school. So they still have a schedule, they still have tasks to complete. So in that way, they are staying engaged. But we know that's an extremely difficult model for our older kids. But as long as we are still operating with face mask requirements and social distancing, there's no way we can put 1,000 people into our high schools and with a straight face say that we are able to control disease. After being open now for almost 10 weeks, going into 11 weeks, we've only had one incident of COVID spread in our schools. So though we have had several quarantines from people who have caught COVID, the COVID exposure has not occurred in schools with the exception of one. So we are seeing that spread happening primarily in homes or job sites or social activities outside of school. So we have a ton of mitigation and safety procedures happening in our schools, students and staff all wearing face masks, a lot of breaks for hand washing. We have hand sanitation dispensers all over schools, and social distancing as much as we can by reducing class sizes. So I think we've taken a lot of precautions and it seems to be working for us. So that's just a general overview of the lay of the land in terms of COVID and our instructional modality. So I'll pause for a minute before I move on to a general description of how the district operates and see if anybody has questions about those elements, because they seem to be a hot topic these days.
Hi. That was a good overview. Thank you. I have a quick question on the COVID. As looking at different school districts like DPS down in Denver, they're complete remote. If Eagle County has to go in lockdown, are you prepared? Is the school prepared for handling that?
Absolutely. So in fact, just this week, we sent a memo out to all of our staff members that had, it's basically a rubric for things to consider when we transition to full remote. It wasn't intended to alarm anybody or say that full remote transition is imminent, but I think in light of what just happened at VSSA, I think it's important for every school to understand that this could happen at any time. in the event you have too many students or staff members who are quarantined, and we shift a whole school to remote. So are we prepared? Absolutely. We've got a 1-to-1 device ratio in the district, so every student has a Wi-Fi enabled device. We also have hundreds of Wi-Fi hotspots. They look similar to this, just a little white box, and we're able to send those home with kids who don't have reliable Wi-Fi at home. We do have a few kids who live in remote locations in Eagle County. The school district covers 2,000 square miles. So we have some kids who live in very remote places. And for them, it's a little bit more of a struggle. The Wi-Fi hotspots don't work because they don't have cell service there. But in those instances, we still allow schools to be available to them so they can come in and use computer labs or access the Wi-Fi at school properties. In terms of training teachers, we spent a lot of time over the summer getting them prepared to understand what remote instruction looks like. They're now posting all of their materials online through a uniform learning management system called Schoology. And that consistency has been huge. We did not have that consistency in March and April and May and spring, and that created a lot of frustration for families. I've got a kid in high school and one in middle school, and their work was in different places in the spring, and it was hard to manage. But now I know I can go to Schoology and figure out how they're doing. We've also had kids in many of our schools practice remote learning. So they know how to get on, they know what their remote schedule looks like. They know where to find their assignments in Schoology. So I would say we're much better prepared for remote learning now than we were when we made that transition back in March.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for me? Well, let's talk about some district overview. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the school district, so I'll just give some general facts. We serve about 6,500 students, and as I said, we cover 2,000 square miles, so from East Vail all the way to Glenwood Canyon, Dotsero. And then north, we go up through Bond and McCoy, and south almost to Leadville. So it's a huge geographic area. We have 17 schools, and they run the gamut. So we have some elementary, we have 7 elementary schools that are grades K through 5. We have 3 middle schools that serve grades 6, 7, and 8. And we have 3 high schools that are traditional age grade serving high schools, so grades 9 through 12. And then we have several multi-grade schools. So Eagle County Charter Academy in Edwards is grades K through 8. Homestake Peak in Eagleville is K-8. And Wade's school, who'll be presented here in a minute, Vail Ski and Snowboard Academy out of Midterm, grades 5 through 12. We also run an online school called World Academy, and that's all grades. We don't recommend it for the early primary years. It's hard to have full online learning for little kids, grade K1, 2. So we primarily target World Academy to grades 3 through 12. A difference in our school structure for those of you who are familiar with Eagle County School District. This year we closed June Creek Elementary School, which is located on Miller Ranch Road in Edwards. We had 3 elementary schools at the east end of the valley that had very small enrollment. Between Avon, June Creek, and Edwards Elementary, we were operating with less than 200 kids at each of those schools. To get up to around 250, 300 is a more feasible size for a principal to operate a school. You get to a critical mass in that population where you can have a more diverse specials offering or elective offerings. You can have more intervention support and really just a more robust school that's more fun for kids. So we closed at June Creek and moved students to Avon Elementary and Edwards Elementary, and now those schools are both at 300. So it turned out to be much closer in balance than we had suspected. And the secondary benefit of this transition was we moved we turned June Creek Elementary School into the Edwards Early Learning Center. And in that transition, we were able to build out 8 more preschool rooms, which I know is a huge need in our community, especially at the east end of the valley. So we have 8 new rooms, and they can handle infant toddler all the way up to age 3 and 4 preschool. So we have significantly increased the preschool capacity at the East End by opening up that facility. And then we leveraged some of the upstairs rooms at June Creek for office space, and we're leasing some of that out to some of our nonprofit partners. And then we let go of some leases that we had in Eagle that we were using for a few of our departments, and moved them over to that building now in Eagle. So we're saving dollars in leased space. We're generating some revenue from some leases that we're hosting, and we created some more preschool space. So I think that was an outstanding move for us. Any questions about school structure? Does everybody understand how the charter school works, or what the relationship is with the district and Eagle County Charter Academy or Stone Creek? If not, just ask and I'll be happy to cover that too. Questions on schools? All right, well, I'll finish with just some of the highlights, points of pride for the school district. With 6,500 kids, I think our population in our schools represents the population in our county. So we're pleased that we have diverse schools, proud of that fact, and to promote cultural preparedness for life, we encourage students to participate in a dual language program. And most of our schools do have dual language instruction, meaning that they spend part of their day learning content in English and part of the day learning content in Spanish. So it's not just Spanish language instruction, it's how to learn math in Spanish or science in Spanish. And that continues all the way up through high school. So one of our most successful college credit bearing classes in high school is our Spanish instruction. So we've got Spanish 1, 2, and 3 happening through Colorado Mountain College. And if you guys have noticed, the Spanish section that's included in the Vail Daily, for the most part is written and edited by Battle Mountain High School students who are in the dual language program. So we talk to our students and our families about college, career, and culture ready. For a lot of years, we just talked about college and career ready, but we understand that we're in a diverse world, a pluralistic society, and people need to learn how to operate in that. They need to learn how to function socially and function with a respect for diversity. So that's why we are culture ready as well in our schools. Another element that we're happy about is our diverse athletic and activities, especially in our middle schools and our high schools. We're able to offer a full array of CHASA, that's the Colorado High School Athletics and Activities Association, full array of sports in every season. And we even have a sports academy, which Wade will talk about later, for those who plan on pursuing, especially winter sports in college. It's an amazing opportunity. And I think, lastly, I think what sets our schools on a great trajectory is our partnerships. This community, I mean, I think that one of the key reasons that we're open with our schools right now is the partnerships that we have with local nonprofits and parent and student serving organizations. And I could start listing them, but I know I'll forget one. But just every time I list them and I forget one, I get lit up because I forgot somebody. So I'm just going to list a couple of the ones who I know are our biggest partners. Youth Power 365, a great organization. They provide after-school programming, summer school programming for our kids, and have been instrumental in helping us provide Wednesday activities for our elementary kids while we're in this modified instructional model. But moving up grades, I'd like to talk about the Career X program, which is it's a career exploration model that we created right here in Eagle County. And it gives our younger high school kids an opportunity to do job site visits. So in 9th grade, they go around and they visit different offices, different work sites, and get an understanding for what different careers look like. And then as they get older, they can do work study programs where they earn high school credit and they learn jobs, and they can serve as an internship and eventually an apprenticeship, which is really part-time work at a job site while earning high school and college credit through Colorado Mountain College. And we now have hundreds of students placed in this Career X program, which is helping them explore career ideas, get college credit so that when they're out of high school, they can immediately start working and make a decent wage in many of these jobs. And for some of our kids, I always appreciate those who explore a job that they think they like. And after a semester of working as, maybe a dental hygienist, they come back and they say, that was really valuable, but I don't think I'm going to pursue that. And then they look at something else. So I think we've helped a lot of students refine their interest, experiment in different jobs, and really broaden their understanding of what careers exist for them. And we couldn't do that without the hundreds of business partners in the community that partner with the school district. So I think it's a collaborative community. I think we have a diverse program and a diverse student population, and all those things are things we're proud of.
Hearing that, like, mountain communities, the school enrollment has increased with people moving, say from Denver to rural areas. Are you seeing that overall with the school district? Are you seeing like an increased enrollment in 2020, or are you expecting one maybe?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say many of our mountain neighbors are struggling right now with enrollment decline. Aspen, Summit, and many of the schools in the Front Range, they're looking at 3 to 5% reduction in enrollment, and that is a massive budget strain on them. Our school district came in within 0.1% of our projection. So we are right where we thought we would be. I think we have to credit our principals and teachers for being flexible in their models at school, and how they're working with families who are some in school, some remote. But we've really tried hard to make sure that we can accommodate the needs of a lot of different types of requests from families. So fortunately, we're right where we thought we would be. So that allows us to keep all of our staff, keep all of our programming. And I think that we closed at June Creek with the anticipation of a drop in enrollment. We fully expected a 5% drop in our enrollment. We have no regrets about that transition at June Creek, because as I mentioned, we created more capacity in preschool, and we've created 2 very viable elementary schools in Avon and Edwards. But I would say our population is right where we thought it would be. And to your question, we did see a little more mobility this year. Typically, we see about 350 students move into the district, 350 students move out. And that doesn't mean that they're physically moving. It's kind of a revolving door between our public schools and our private schools in the community. So between Stone Creek Charter, VMS, Vail Christian, Vail Academy, every year we'll have 150, 200 kids that come to us from those schools, and 150, 200 that go out. But this year, instead of 350, we have 450, both coming in and about that same number going out. So I would say in terms of mobility, it was higher, but the net change for our district was not significant.
Thank you. I was just curious. Are there any additional questions? Feel free to, don't be shy.
Yeah.
Did you, and I'm sorry if I missed this, did you touch on the guest teacher program?
I did not.
Is that relevant? I saw that in a Vail Valley partnership newsletter.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I could touch on that. So for us to keep schools open, we as I mentioned earlier, we've got every certified person with a cohort of kids. And that means that if somebody's out, we've got to fill that room with a certified teacher. In our previous model, when we had interventionists or we had specials teachers, we had the ability to be more flexible in our scheduling, and schools could handle internally if a teacher was out. We've lost that capacity with our model that we have right now. Furthermore, trying to have people come into a school setting in the time of a pandemic to cover for absent teachers is a little bit of a stretch. A lot of folks may not feel like that's an environment they want to put themselves into. So we have had to hire more substitute teachers this year than we have ever had in the past. And in order to do that, we've had to do more recruiting. We've had to adjust our pay model. We've also provided some reimbursement for some of the costs incurred by those licensure to be a sub teacher. So we're reimbursing for the cost of licensure. We're reimbursing for the cost of fingerprint and background checks. So just trying to eliminate barriers and bring in as many new people to that role as we can. Those efforts are paying off. We have hired a few more. We're still advertising, still trying to bring in more people because that need continues to grow.
Great. Nice to meet you all and to be here. And I have a presentation. I'll share my screen. And please, at any point, obviously, stop and ask questions. And let's see, I think just the desktop there, if I do that. And then I can address those and answer those, but I'll walk you through just a little bit of this. And let me see here. Let me move that over. And okay, how is that for everybody? Does everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you again. So I'm Wade Hill. I'm the principal at Vail Ski and Snowboard Academy. This is my fourth full year at VSSA. I have been with Eagle County Schools for about 23 years. I worked at Battle Mountain High School as a science teacher initially, and then I moved to Red Canyon High School and then took over as a principal there. So I served as principal at Red Canyon for a lot of years. And I actually started World Academy, the online program. And as Phil mentioned, those preschool rooms, I opened those first preschool rooms at June Creek Elementary and realized that's not a role a high school principal should be taking on. But we did that for our teen parent program, and that's been really successful since. But then moved to VSSA. So I'll share some things about VSSA. I'll try to keep it short and again, ask some questions, jump on in there. At VSSA, I thought first is to share just a little bit about us, what makes us unique, and then just a little bit about our programs and our outcomes. But VSSA is a sport academy, really. And we're super proud that we're the first, and we believe the only fully public sports academy or ski academy in the United States. There are several in the United States that have popped up, and they work as a part of the sports organization. So being a public school is an incredible benefit to all of our parents that come here for the training that Ski and Snowboard Club Vail offers. And in the recent last 2 years, we've formed organization agreements with a local company called P3 Hockey. So we have about 17 to 18 hockey athletes that are striving to make AAA teams as they grow older. And then we've also formed a relationship with the Avon swim team. They have some high-level swim athletes. So we have expanded a little bit past just working with Ski and Snowboard Club Vail, but that is our main and major partner. So excitingly, we've grown from about 180 students that were Ski and Snowboard Club athletes and then students at the school. And we're now about 215, 217 kids over the last couple of years. So we're growing slowly, expanding that offering to work with some other clubs. The goal of VSSA is always just to meet the educational needs, provide a rigorous college prep academy, but at the same time provide the flexibility for our athletes to chase that time on ice or snow. As Malcolm Gladwell says, to get to that 10,000 hours and try to find that dream of following their sport, as well as getting a good education at the same time. So we're in year 13 of existence. We started years and years ago with Aldo Radamus, if you know Aldo, a big skier in our valley. He started the club, worked with the club for years, and then formed this organization in relationship with Eagle County Schools, and we got off the ground. We got into and moved into the old Minturn Middle School about 10 years ago, kind of started as a program within that school. And then as that school closed down, they opened up or allowed us to open up that building full time. So we're out at the Malloy Park campus, which is absolutely beautiful. If you haven't been out there, highly encourage you to come out and bring your skis and come hit our Nordic trail. We have our Nordic athletes that train right there at the back of the school. And we have the MFC, which is our Minturn Fitness Center, a collaboration between SSCV and the town of Minturn to run a fitness center that our kids are members of and athletes there. So certainly invite you to come on out to Malloy Park and check that out. So, but as I said, we've been in business as a full school now for about 13 years and 10 years within that building. And you know, and as I said, the niche that we serve is to try to meet the needs of high-level athletes. These are some kids that have excelled in their sport. We have several disciplines. So, you know, in our arrangement with SSCV, we have Nordic, snowboarders, free ski, big mountain, park and pipe. We also have all the alpine disciplines and our moguls team and free ski. So I think I got them all there. So those disciplines, and then addition, as I said, swimming. SSCV offers a cycling program now. So we work with some cyclists. And then we also have our hockey players and our hockey team. So these are some pretty high level kids. You know, we've had an incredibly successful track record with these kids. A high percentage of our kids have skied NCAA and made it to school, you know, schools and colleges. Our Nordic kids have done a nice job of getting to that level. And ultimately, whether they've been fully with us the entire time, we've now 8 Olympic athletes that have, so athletes that have come through our school that are now and have been in the Olympics. If you saw the last round, Tess Johnson is a graduate of VSSA and she participated in Pyeongchang in moguls. We currently have Kai Owens, who is on that moguls team as well. So 2 VSSA young women that are on the current moguls team for the Olympics, which is pretty great. So like I said, high level athletes that are trying to pursue that. And the niche is to provide a flexible schedule that really meets the needs of these athletes and allows them to participate at that level. And really one of the biggest parts is to train with their coaches. You know, they come here for the athletic training. You know, the hockey players train an additional 2 days on ice. The skiers are all out and they're at their different venues training during the week. And what we do is what we call the winter schedule. And so come November, we flip our schedule. So once there is snow, Gold Peak is open. The kids are out there training in the mornings and we do our classes in the afternoon so that they can access the mountain and get that. What we shoot for, as I say, is that seamless integration of academics and athletics. We've built our full-time schedule around that training opportunity for kids so that they don't miss school to get out there and train. And that's one of the biggest things is adapting a school to meet the needs of kids while they travel. Many of the programs around there, if they stay in traditional schools, you know, a traditional school just doesn't understand when a kid misses school. And that's what we're about, is if they're going to go out there and travel for competition seasons, and get out there for any additional training, you know, our teachers are adapted, providing online learning for kids while they travel. And that's one of the things that we've really done too. As Phil mentioned, we're fully immersed in that Schoology piece. Our teachers have been using it for years. So we post work online while kids travel, but you know, still our goal is to be in front of kids, teaching kids as much as we can, but trying to support them as they do those things. And that's what we talk to our niche. So as I said, there's a few things about our schedule. We follow Eagle County Schools schedule for the most part. We are an Eagle County public school. We've adapted just some extra weekends and some things within that schedule to allow kids to train a little bit in a few more days. We have a Belle schedule. And as I said, the biggest part about it is we look, we're 5 through 12, 5th grade through 12th grade. We look very traditional in the fall, but in November, as you may have seen, Gold Peak opened and some kids got to ski this week. So they've been blowing snow up there quite a bit and kids got to ski. So November, we start this flip schedule. This is where we move to an afternoon of teaching kids and they're all out there training in the morning. So an adapted piece that runs through April to allow them to do that all season long. And we've really still been able to be, you know, a rigorous preparatory academy during that compressed time. So our teachers have done a fabulous job of still preparing kids, even though we compress the amount of time that kids are in classes. So that's a little bit about our schedule and some things like that. And maybe I'll take a breath and ask if there's some questions that pop out in that.
I got one in the chat box when you had mentioned the cross-country trails.
Yes.
Do those open in November? Do you guys create snow there as well? Or?
Right. No, that's all natural. So sure. Minturn is gifted with a lot of snow. It just all melted last week. So sure. We had a track for about a week. The kids were super excited. They got out there and Dan Weiland, our Nordic coach, keeps that. He has a team that keeps after that trail. So as soon as there's enough snow, that'll be open. It's just, it just closed probably melted away by Thursday this last week. So Yeah. So as soon as that's open, they'll have that. Actually, if you park in our front parking lot, you'll see just to the left of the school is the front access to that. And there's a loop that goes out in front of the school and over towards the, if you will, the Superfund site over there in front of the Midterm Fitness Center. And then that loops all behind the school, crosses our playground, and then goes up into the hills behind there. So it's a beautiful place. Highly recommended if you want to go. Kids are always out there training about 10, but if you hit it at 8:30, you can have it all to yourself, which is really nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
I did get another question. Do you have any affiliation with Vail Mountain School for courses?
We do not.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there are athletes that are at SSCV, Ski and Snowboard Club Vail. We're an educational provider, and Vail Mountain School is a provider as well. So they are a separate program, but they have kids who attend their school that are also SSCV athletes. So it's one where we have both. So, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on there? Okay, well, as I said, the key for us in our niche is balancing that academics and athletics. And so we have adopted many of the online platforms that Phil Qualman alluded to. Schoology's learning management system that allows our teachers, as we move to online instruction this week, we have been in a hybrid, just like the high schools. We're such a small program. We have about 95 kids in the high school, about 110, 115 kids in the lower school, 5th through 8th. We were so small, and we have teachers that cross over, that we had to go to this hybrid piece as well. So right now our kids are in school 2 days a week. And then just now with November, we switched to afternoons. So what we've done is every other day. So our kiddos, and we've divided them by cohorts in this COVID world. We tried to separate our cohorts. We have our hockey, Nordic, snowboarders, free ski, big mountain kids are all in a cohort. They attend school on what we call A days. Our alpine cyclists and swimmers attend school on B days. And so they alternate every other day. So every other afternoon they are in school. Every other afternoon they work from home via Schoology. So teachers will post assignments. We've really worked in what we call the flipped classroom. Teachers are doing those, what we call the messy learning, the talk and the analysis and discussion while kids are in school in front of them. And then they do some of those more passive things, the reading, the annotating, any of those kinds of things can happen at home, and they'll do that on those off days. So we've really tried in this setting to flip that classroom and try to get to that perfection of as best we can. It's certainly an imperfect system, but in this world to try to engage them as best we can in the time we have, since it is reduced. So, but we utilize Schoology and PowerSchool. That's where we post our grades and things like that. Naviance is a tool that we use for our counseling department. So that leads me to some additional student supports. We're super excited. We have 2 counselors for a school our size. We have Charlene, who focuses on the college preparation and utilizes that Naviance to get kids ready for colleges, their essays and all of those kinds of things, the test prep. And then we have another through the Hope Center, which was a grant piece that's been great, funded through some of the monies out there in the state, to bring in a second Hope Center counselor. And she's actually got a background in sports psychology. So she focuses on the sports side of things with kids. So that's fantastic. As a school, though, we fully service and work with students on IEPs, individual education programs, and we have a special education teacher and students on ALPs, the advanced learning plans. So, servicing all kiddos regardless of learning needs and what they need. The other thing is, as Phil mentioned too, is just such a great community of support, and we invite those folks in. The Red Ribbon Project, Speak Up, Reach Out. There's all those organizations that come in and spend time with our kids in what we call an advisory, and get our kids, some exposure to all those programs going out there in the community, which is just fantastic stuff. Some curriculum highlights. Our lower school students, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders, all get STEM class, and Miss Bankston does an amazing job with our STEM class. It's always, centered on the idea of building, analyzing, designing something, testing it, and then retesting it, and then redesigning. And so she works through that curriculum. So kids have the robotics, Lego robotics. We just had our solar car races last week. So some fantastic stuff there for those kiddos. We've got Spanish as an elective, and really and honestly, we're a very small school. We are not a robust high school like Battle Mountain or an Eagle Valley. We don't have the offerings that they have. We've tried to diversify as much as we can. So our upper school students get Spanish. We've got Spanish all the way up through AP Spanish. But as a small school, something we're very proud of is our advanced placement and our program with Colorado Mountain College. If you've heard before in presentations, CMC provides, well, we have several teachers that have their master's degrees in areas, and they're able to teach Colorado Mountain College classes. We've also got a couple of professors that come out to campus, and we offer dual enrollment programming as well as advanced placement programming. So for a small school, super proud of our offerings in advanced placement and dual enrollment. Most of our math classes are APDE. Two of our high school English classes are the Lit and Composition are APDE. So with doing that, our kids can walk away. We just looked at this for our 2020 graduates this year. The average kid is leaving us with 24 completed college credits. So almost a full first year of college completed before they leave the doors, which is fantastic. And I think our highest one, she's going to leave us with like 36. So even as a small school, we've got a very robust Colorado Mountain College dual enrollment program, which is pretty fantastic. Another thing that can help those kiddos, those are guaranteed transfer block classes that go with any college in Colorado. So they'll automatically transfer into colleges in Colorado with that. And we found most colleges across the country accept them. So that's a nice highlight. As I said, kids get most of their electives through their sport. They ski, so they're out there on the mountain and that, but we do offer some electives within there. Each of our classes in the fall, each of our grade levels in the fall gets an elective class. In the picture, here's our culinary arts class that our chef leads, some art classes, cotillion and things like that at our lower level. So some elective highlights on that. Beyond the school, as I said, there's lots of, cross-age activities. It's wonderful to have 5th through 8th. We do a lot of, or 5th through 12th, we do a lot of mentoring. Our older juniors and seniors mentoring 5th and 6th grade. So a lot of cross-curricular pieces there. Super important to us, and I always put on here is our 4 C's. That's our character and what we call our character goals. We're a school of athletes. As you can imagine, it's a pretty competitive place. They compete with each other every day. In the classroom, that's great, but sometimes that can lack compassion. And that's one of our 4 C's that we really work hard to grow good kids, well-rounded kids. I tell the story that in my first week at VSSA, I was out front and those kiddos started throwing some backflips right there in the front driveway on the grass there. And within minutes, it's a backflip competition. So, it's a high level, very active group of kids, but we also want to make sure that we take the time to develop the whole kid. So we put a lot of emphasis into character development, making sure that while they might be great athletes, we want them to be great humans as well. So a lot of time spent there. And just this last one, the unique learning model, the ability to post work for kids so that we can meet their needs while they travel. Our lower school kids don't travel that much. They've got competition weeks and things like that. But you get up to that 5th level skier, they might miss as 40 to 50 days a year. So we've got to be able to meet their needs and get them prepared for college in that remote opportunity. And that's something we've really worked hard to do. Like I said, Tess Johnson was at the Olympics. I think I honestly saw her about 3 weeks out of the entire year. But the girl got through BC Calc, and so anybody that can get through calculus remotely with our teacher is a pretty stellar program and kid, So, any questions at that point? I've got just a few other slides, and then I'll open up some general questions. But anything there?
I have a question in the chat box, and you all feel free to unmute yourself too if you want to ask anything in person. The one that's in the chat box is. You did touch on the academics for college. This is sort of a 2-part. What colleges do most of your graduates go to? What are the criteria to get into the school? And do you guys have a wait list?
Gotcha. How about I'll tackle those at the end. I've got a slide for that. So
sure.
And just remind me if I miss it. You bet. So just a couple other things, VSSA is super in our relationship with SSCV. we're a public school. We charge parents $550 a year. It's just a one-time fee. But parents do pay an additional $650 fee to SSCV, and they've got a program where they provide some academic coach support for us. So in addition to our teaching staff, we have 4 paraprofessionals that we utilize within the building, and they really help kids with accessing that online piece when they are traveling, trying to make that connection and just providing support to kids. So this has been a great addition in our program as well. We utilize these guys in study halls, classrooms, for advisory of students as well. So, so with all of that, we are, and we basically function as a magnet school in a sense. You have to apply to the sport program first. So you would have to, the athlete would apply to Ski and Snowboard Club Vail. If they're accepted to that Ski and Snowboard Club Vail and choose VSSA, they would then apply to us. Same thing through the hockey program and the swim program. They have to be an athlete first. We want to stick to our niche. We're not open just to any kiddo that wants to walk in the door. We want to make sure that we're providing that niche, and we're also very conscious that we're not taking kids away from the rest of our public schools. It's very important to us that they are athletes first that are really trying to pursue this at that high level. So if you're accepted into the club first, then the club would refer you over to us, and then we have a selection process. We're a public school, so we're not about trying to be incredibly exclusive. We just want to look for a kid that can find success. It's got to be the right kid. This has to be a pretty driven kid. They have to be ready to balance their sport at that high level and pursue school at a high level. So those are just the, we don't discourage anybody from applying, and we look at everybody. And we, if the club says they're a great athlete, we really do our very best to get them in school. But so we do have, though, a selection process, and we've in this last 2 years with opening this up to other clubs, we've started a wait list when we fill in a classroom level. So we've grown a little bit, as I said, from like 180 to 215, but we've tried to do that in a smart way. So when we get to a class, if that class fills, so 5th grade right now, we've got 15 athletes in there, and that's a great size for an entry level to 5th grade. In our 6th grade, though, we've got 31 kids, 32 kids, and we've tried to split that into a couple sections. So again, it's a balance of class size and that kind of thing is to what we do as far as acceptance. So, and I think the last one was colleges and such. So are we doing the job? Here's just a list of some of the things we've done. Yes, I think we're doing the job. I think if you look at our school performance framework from the state, we are consistently ranked as a solid school. Here's just a few since 2016. Super proud. Just this last 2 weeks, U.S. News and World Report, they rank based on the number of AP courses, success in courses, graduation rates, PSAT testing. We ranked 11th out of 359 schools in Colorado. So one of the top schools in the state of Colorado. We ranked 389th out of 17,000 plus nationally. So our kids are knocking it out of the park. In 2020, as I said, our average graduate will walk out the door with 24 completed college credits. The year before that, 2019, our senior class, their SAT composite ranked us 7th in the state as a school. So as a public school. So, and that's continued, you can see that's in the past there. So I do think our kiddos are getting it done. I think it's amazing what they're able to accomplish as they balance athletics and school. I think it speaks a ton to there are a lot of prep schools out there, and they focus on schools. And there are some prep schools that are athletically oriented, but for our school to be both of those and these kids to do what they do and produce the way they do are amazing. I don't like to talk about kids as products, but as they walk out the door, their ability, their executive functioning, their ability to manage all aspects of their life, they're pretty well prepared, in my opinion, which is pretty exciting stuff. So there's a list of, I think this is recent graduates in the last 4 years, 5 years. We probably go back 4 or 5 years on this list. But, where our kids go really depends on if they can ski and if they make a team. For those NCAA programs, so you'll see a lot of Western schools, University of Utah, Montana State. Several of those are ski team ski team options where they'll go and follow if their FIS points are there and they can ski for a team. Our Nordic program has done a great job getting kids placed in teams. So that drives a lot of their choice. One thing we're super proud of is in our school performance framework, we're a 100% graduation. We've never lost a kid to graduate, which is in the last 7 years at least. So that's very exciting stuff. So, but that's kind of us. Can I answer any other questions that are out there?
Don't be shy, as I always say. So I just want to make sure I understand, those who are accepted to attend, it's the family, like annually, it's a $550 fee.
Right. Yeah. So for the school, we're $550. It's basically like a student fee.
Yeah.
We utilize that for, our wilderness trip in the beginning of the year, which didn't happen this year, but different fun things within the school, some extra elective support and some things like that. Every athlete that applies is going to have their own programmatic fees with their club. So at Ski and Snowboard Club Vail, the parents would have to meet and take care of their ski club fees. Those range in difference. I think a full-time Nordic athlete is at the lower end of that, is around $7,500 a year. You go up through performance groups, a performance FIS group out of state can be as high as, don't quote me exactly, but around $21,000 a year of programming fees. And that wouldn't include travel, competition, entry, and some things like that. So that's that sports side of that. So that's where we're very helpful. If you compare us to GMVS or Burke, Eastern ski academies, their base entry level ticket prices are around $65,000 and $70,000 a year. So with the school side of this being a public school, it's a great benefit to draw national athletes to our program. When we look at it, we also, Ski and Snowboard Club Belle has and with our other local clubs is a commitment to local kids, local athletes to grow that side of the house. But we also attract some incredible athletes from around the country. So I think it's a great boon to our community to bring in, on average, I would say every year we've brought in between 40 to 60 athletes that join our school, with the number that graduate. And then the honest reality of the number that matriculate out. There's some kids that get up there and they're skiing and they love it, but they get to that junior level and they're like, look, I'm not gonna, they get to FIS and it's like, whoa, I'm competing against college kids all over the country and this isn't me. So they may leave our program and head back to a traditional school or something like that. But so out of 40 to 50 new families every year, we estimate that somewhere around 40 to 45% of those are new families coming to our valley, which is a great economic impact to the community in our eyes. And that other half, though, is a commitment to growing our own kids here to grow great athletes too. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Just was wondering exactly how that worked. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, that's for me, one of our key interests is to develop a little more diversity within the school. So, adding hockey, adding the swimming, those are some lower cost programs to try to alleviate some of that, because we know that can be a burden to creating more diversity within our school. So those entry points can be a little bit lower and can help with, have helped us along those lines as well. So.
Great. Any other questions?
Anything else I can answer?
Speak now, forever hold your peace. Or send them an email later if one comes up.
Absolutely. I'm at Wade. I'm wade.hill@eagleschools.net. So a little easier than Qualman there. So.
Very good. Thank you. As Mel mentioned, St. Clair is located on the west end of Edwards on Highway 6. We opened in 2000 and we've been the only Catholic school in the Valley since that time. Glenwood Springs and then Wheat Ridge are the next two closest Catholic schools. And so for our families really looking for a faith-based Catholic education in the Valley, St. Clair is the opportunity for them. A little bit about our school community. We serve students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade. We offer a standards-based education rooted in the Catholic tradition, the Catholic faith, and Catholic values. We're on the west end of Edwards, and as I mentioned, we've been in the Valley for 20 years now. St. Clair exists to provide that faith-based educational opportunity for parents who are looking for this opportunity for their children. We have 2 administrators, 15 teachers, and this year we have 117 students. 63% of our administration and faculty have a master's degree or higher, and we are very proud of the quality education that our teachers provide and also their dedication to continuing professional development and being the best that they can to serve our students. So meet our students. I chose to first begin with a slide with a picture of Derek. Derek is a kindergarten student this year at St. Clair. And I chose Derek because as we go through some of the demographic of our students, you'll see that he is a typical St. Clair kid. Last Thursday, we had 2 students shadow at St. Clair, and one was in kindergarten. So I was taking the family around and introducing them to our kindergarten class. As is typical, when I go to a class, we stop, we knock. When children hear the knock at the door, they know that that means we need to stand, we need to greet the person at the door by saying good morning, and I introduce the class to whoever is with me. So we did our normal routine. I introduced the kindergarten class to our shadow family and the student who would be shadowing in their class. And then as typical, I asked the students, what can you share with me about being at St. Clair, a student at St. Clair? What do you like about St. Clair? And so Derek raised his hand, and without hesitation, Derek said, we're in kindergarten now. There's no goofing around in kindergarten. And that sentiment of there's no goofing around, I would say permeates our school. We firmly believe in making sure that we're fulfilling our responsibility of providing a quality faith-based education for our students. So we serve students from Dotsero to Vail. So Derek, he used to live in Vail. His family moved to Eagle a year ago. He has 2 older siblings. So his family has crossed the valley during their time here at St. Clair. Students by ethnicity, 59% are Latino. That includes our several families who have one parent who's Latino, one parent who's Anglo, and Derek's parents are in that situation. 40% of our students are Anglo and 1% are 2 or more races. Our average class size is 13, and we are proud that we can offer that we don't have any combined grades. So each grade is a standalone cohort. Our student retention rates, in August of 2019, we retained 94% of our students from June of 2019 until August of 2019. This year in 2020, from June to August, we retained 87% of our students. We had several families who, due to COVID, wanted a 100% online option and so didn't come back. If we had had an available free online option, they would have come back. So if those families had come back, our retention rate would have been 91%. And so we are proud of the fact that our retention rate is consistently in the 90 percentiles for our student retention. While we're a Catholic school and we do teach from the Catholic faith perspective, students of all faith backgrounds are welcome. We do find sometimes that parents appreciate their children having an exposure to a faith, exposure to virtue. And even though the family themselves may not be Catholic, they do come to St. Clair because they appreciate our values and how we're able to use our values to really provide a quality education. Our vision and our mission. So our vision is to form disciples intellectually, spiritually, physically, and socially so that they may hear God's call in their life and have the needed academic abilities and skills to respond to that call in service to God and community. And so as a school, of course, academics are important to us, and we continue to always be working continually to improve our academic program. But it's really the emphasis on the whole child that allows us to have such a successful academic program. And it's also the component of helping students know that there's more to life than what they can physically see and introducing them to that transcendental. And then how that introduction to the transcendental helps them want to do their best at academics. It helps them socially in terms of how they include others, how they serve others, and it helps them be of service to the whole community. You can read our mission statement there as well. And the final line of our mission statement speaks of having a challenging, safe, and nurturing environment. I would say our teachers are very dedicated to making sure that we do have a challenging, safe, and nurturing environment for all of our students, and they care greatly about each of our students. One thing that I think is neat about St. Clair is that especially our specialist teachers, they cross all grades. And so it's very common that all teachers know all the students' names in the school. Some of that's also fostered by sharing lunch and recess duties with different grades, that the teachers really get to know the students and the students get to know them as well, which contributes to the safe and nurturing environment. Foundations and virtue. So one thing that's new to St. Clair this year is we've launched a new virtue program that the religion teachers focus on teaching the students the name of the virtue, the definition of the virtue, what it looks like and what it sounds like. But then that allows us to build a lexicon that we're able to use in all of our classes to really be able to continue to foster that safe and nurturing environment. So I selected one example here on this slide, and you'll see some more examples as I move through the presentation. So this was from the middle of September. Again, what's happening in September? In September, we're welcoming new students to our school. And so focusing on affability. The students learn the definition, being easy to approach and easy to talk to, friendly. They learn what it looks like and what it sounds like. And then in the younger grades, we ask them to draw a picture of somebody being affable and then writing out what it looks like and what it sounds like. And then serving one another is another foundational component of our school. These pictures of the boys and then the class with the posters is a project that we're doing for Veterans Day this year. As I'm sure you can imagine, there have been a lot of changes to normal, typical offerings that we have during the school year due to COVID-19. Typically, we would welcome in veterans from the community. We'd host a luncheon for them, make them cards, or in art class, perhaps poppies that they can pin to their jackets. And then after the lunch, the band we'd all go to the gym for an assembly, the band would play, veterans would present their stories and their branches of service in which they served, and students would have the opportunity to ask questions. Since we aren't able to do that this year, we aren't able to have our typical Veterans Day program, we did organize an effort through the Daughters of the American Revolution, where the Daughters of American Revolution organization, also known as the DAR, they put together quart-sized bags, and they include basically like small care packages with notes. So the third grade class took this on as a service project in our school. So in the left picture, you see a box that the students made and decorated. So each grade had a collection box delivered by the third grade where they could put their items that they collected that they would then use and compile, and we'll send them to veterans but also to those in the active military duty. The pictures on the boxes are items that can be collected. So the third grade created those boxes for collection. The other picture on this page shows the third graders and the posters that they made. So they worked on creating posters and then preparing a speech in Partners. And then in Partners, they were sent out to the other grades in the school, K through 8, and they presented this project to the other classes to let them know about what was going on and to encourage them to bring items to donate and to talk about why it's important that we support our members currently serving in our military and those who have previously served. In this way, they had an opportunity to have leadership, even as third grade students, and they also had that chance to practice public speaking. And this in part fits into the virtue of generosity, which this child drew as looking like sharing with someone. And it sounds like, would you like this? So again, fostering a lexicon of virtue and incorporating it throughout the curriculum. With our foundation in virtue and service, that allows our students to really thrive in the academic setting. We have all the core subjects, just like any other K-8 school that you would expect. And then we also have religion. It's interesting to me to learn that sometimes when I talk to families in the area, they actually didn't know that as a Catholic school, we do teach the core subjects of math, science, English language arts, and social studies, but we do, that forms the bulk of our day. And then students also take religion class. In the upper grades, they take religion every day. In the lower grades, they have religion 2 or 3 times a week. We do offer specials, art, music, PE, and Spanish, and you can see the grades for those different subject areas. As you can imagine with COVID, there has been some changes to our music and our band program. Students this year have really been focusing in on percussion. And one thing that's neat is that we've had families and members of our parish community donate keyboards. And so students are able to actually learn piano at school, which our music teacher is very excited about, and a lot of the kids and parents are as well. We do still teach cursive handwriting, and then keyboarding begins a little bit in 4th grade and then 5th grade, and then in 6th grade, they take a keyboarding elective. In middle school, they also have other electives to choose from. Personal finance, robotics, and graphic design were some that we offered last year. This fall, 8th grade is doing filmmaking, and 7th grade is doing impromptu public speaking. And the kids get to choose between the different offerings. So normally we would mix 6th, 7th, and 8th grade up for those based on their interests. This year we're cohorting 6th, 7th, and 8th as each grade as a cohort. So instead of having the students get to disperse to the different electives, the grade got to choose between a couple of different electives that the teacher would be willing to offer. That ability to mix up the kids in the middle school gives them a little bit more social interactions as they're growing socially, and gives them that chance to form friendships in other grades. And that fostering of community within our school is very important to us. You've probably seen some of the statistics that K-8 schools tend to have less bullying than a K-5 school and a 6-8 school. A lot of that is because the youngest person in a K-8 school is a kindergartner, and they're just so cute that everybody wants to be friends with them and help them, as opposed to engage in bullying behavior. So that's a little bit about our academic program at St. Clair. High standards for all students. So we are always proud of our academic achievement of our students, and we expect all of our students to excel in all areas of our curriculum and our academic program. And the first scores that I cited there for you are STAR Reading and Math SGP. SGP stands for Student Growth Percentile. You would expect students who are growing at an average rate to grow at the 50th percentile, and our students grow higher than that, than the 50th percentile. So we're proud that we're moving the students along quicker than students at other schools. And then our achievement data is consistently higher than Eagle County Public Schools data when we do the comparison studies between the MAP tests and the STAR assessments. And then we're also right on par with Archdiocese of Denver Catholic Schools academic achievement. We do make sure that we scaffold instruction for comprehensible input, and we make sure that our teachers are trained in the latest research-based professional development strategies for their different curriculum areas. And one other virtue that the students have learned already this year is perseverance. And so they talked about how perseverance is continuing to work at and out of something until it's done. And so this child drew a picture of her mom needing help. And she said, perseverance looks like I see my mom needing help and I help her until the end. And what does it sound like? Mom, do you need help? Mom says, yes, please. And the child responds, I will help you until we are done. And so as you can imagine, homework is a situation that also requires perseverance for the students. High standards for all students. So it is important that we support all of our students, whether they are high academic achievers or if they're students in need of additional support. So this picture is a picture of our reading specialist working with one of our students when she was in 2nd grade, and they're working on their vowel sounds in this image. And so our reading specialist is available to work with our students in the elementary grades. And then last year, we were able to expand our intervention services to incorporate our middle school grades, and then to also incorporate math as well, for which we're very proud of. With a growing English language learner population at our school, last year we also expanded our assessments to include WIDA, which is an assessment of acquisition of the English language in the 4 different domains of English. And so our teachers are able to really use that data to help move students forward and to help them grow academically. And then another exciting opportunity that we offered last year for our middle school students was we tend to have a few middle school students each year who are advanced in math. And so our teachers do differentiate in the classroom, but occasionally we have students who are ready to jump a full course ahead of their classmates. So we had that situation last year, 2 students in 7th grade math who were ready to go beyond 7th grade math. And they were looking for an opportunity to really challenge their child in math. And so last year we piloted with those 2 students, partnering with an online charter school. So they were able to take, instead of general 7th grade math, they were able to take pre-algebra through the online charter school. They do have a teacher through the program. There's a curriculum, there's a syllabus, there's a series of lessons that they need to move through. It's a fully asynchronous program, but it allowed us to meet their needs and to move them forward. And this year we've been able to expand our offerings with that. So we had one 6th grade student this year who actually tested into algebra. So we're able to move her ahead in her math curriculum so that she can be challenged at her level. And so we actually expanded the number of students who are taking this class for math. But then what's also neat is we're also able to use this program to support our students who are a little bit below average to make sure that they're getting what they need to meet their academic needs. So for example, we have one student who is an English language learner in 6th grade who came to us with less English than what we would normally accept for students. So for math, it's very helpful for her that she has this asynchronous setting where it always provides closed captioning so that she can always read what the teacher is saying as the teacher's saying it. She can go back and she can watch the videos multiple times to make sure that she's understanding the concept and getting the concept. And then our math interventionist works with her 1 day a week just to make sure that she's getting out of the lessons what she needs to move her forward. And that allows her to be able to move at her pace because she's very capable of the mathematical content. She just needs it delivered in a method where it will really meet her needs. So we're very excited about the ways that partnering with that online charter allows us in the middle school to meet our students who are advanced and to meet our students who need additional support. We do provide some auxiliary services to our students and families. Some of these pertain this year and some of them don't because of COVID. And so we would normally have an after school care program. At this time, this is canceled until we are able to make sure that we can provide it safely and that families feel comfortable in being able to send their child to after school care. And we do provide transportation down Valley, Gypsum and Eagle. And this year we were actually able to purchase a large yellow bus, which allows us to be able to socially distance students while being transported to and from school. We are in the process of looking at expanding our transportation up Valley to Avon this year. So if you have any families moving to Avon wondering about transportation, please have them reach out because if we get enough families from Avon that are interested, we'll begin a bus route next year to Avon. We typically offer a hot lunch program, but this year due to COVID, we aren't offering that. And then we do have one-to-one technology. And we actually very excitedly just got a grant of just over $100,000. We had a grant for $105,000 to replace and to update our technology. So we're very excited to be able to replace our computers that are several years old, update our smartboard technology, and just make sure that we have all the latest and most current technology in our school. And throughout the presentation, I've been making a few references to how our lives have changed due to COVID-19. And as you listen to presentations from all schools, I'm sure that they will all be making comments related to this. In case you have families moving to the area soon, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of how we responded to COVID-19 last spring and how we continue to respond this fall to COVID-19. So on this slide, I just posted a quote from one of our parents that the parents submitted last spring when we went distance learning. So last spring on March 13th was when the announcement was made that Eagle County School District would be going online for 3 weeks at that time. As we know, eventually that got pushed to the end of the academic year. Our teachers were on break the following week for spring break, so they had 1 week to put together our COVID-19 distance learning response. And then that general structure and framework that we put together in that 1 week allowed us to carry forward until the end of the academic year last year and has provided a basis for us in the event that we need to go online this coming academic year. So this parent said about our distance learning response last spring, St. Clair's whole approach was kid-centric. I am so grateful. Once we began distance learning, if there was a problem, there was a solution. We helped each other out. This is what makes a community. So in response to her first comment that our whole approach was kid-centric, as a school, we believe that it was very important that for the social and emotional needs of the child and for the learning needs of the child, that they had video calls every day. So with the exception of kindergarten and first grade, because their structure was a little bit different, all of our students in grades 2nd through 8th grade had at least 2 video calls a day. As the teachers and I worked together, we talked about how it was important to give the kids some chance to be social with each other during that time. So for example, kindergarten and first grade, in their one video call during the day, they'd always include show and tell, because we knew that it was important for their mental health that they had that chance to be able to connect with one another, even from a distance. And we also felt that for their learning, it was important that they had the chance to have live interaction with their teachers. So that was part of how we were kid-centric. Different problems that we needed to problem solve throughout those weeks and months last spring. One was making sure that all of our students had access to computers and to the internet. So on our pickup day, so that was the Monday after spring break, that afternoon, we had everything packed up for all of our kids. We delivered it to the cars. During spring break, we had parents complete a survey. Do you need a computer? We knew which computer each child was getting so that we could check it out. So on pickup day, we were able to get all families computers that needed a computer because we were one-to-one. We did have a few families without internet. And so we worked with some of our donors and we were able to provide internet for all of our families so that all students had access to the technology. And then the part about community, the parents were in touch with each other, helping each other out. So we do have a tech support person who was able to help some, and there's a way to submit tech help needs, and he would be sending out videos how to orient and navigate through Google Classroom, how to access the students' email addresses, etc. But the parents also really networked with each other, helping each other out, knowing that they all had different levels of technology proficiency. And we were able to very successfully navigate through the end of the academic year, making sure that students still had access to quality learning. We had a schedule for the kids each day of what they needed to do when to provide them some structure, because they didn't have the teachers with them and because their parents may or may not have been able to really support them based on what their parents' work schedule looked like. So that's a little bit about what we did last spring. And then what we're doing this fall is we're doing a lot of things that other schools are doing in terms of cohorting, social distancing, wearing masks, following the public health guidelines. As a school, because we're small and we have the resources and capacity that we need, we believe, to be able to do this, our plan is to stay in-person learning for as long as the health safety situation of our community allows for that. So if public health would say we do need all schools to go online, we would of course oblige. Otherwise, if we don't have any cases and if we don't need to quarantine due to active cases in our school community, our plan is to stay in person as long as we can. And so part of the reimagining is also, while we're in person, that means that, as I mentioned previously, some of our offerings that we normally offer, we've had to shift. And so one response that has been really neat about that is 8th graders and 4th graders, different leadership opportunities they've taken on. So we have drop off, 3-8 is at the back door and K2 is in the front door. And again, just working with our social distancing situation. So 8th graders have volunteered to be the ones who hold the doors for the K2 kids, so they don't have to touch the doors. They squirt the hand sanitizer when the kids come in, so they have that chance to disinfect their hands. And then the 4th graders have actually been doing that for the back door, helping the older kids, making sure that they're sanitizing when they come in and holding the doors for them. Discovering the world and contributing to it. So this is a list of some of the enrichment activities that we would typically do during an academic year. We were able to offer football this fall with the other schools in the area. Some of these activities, again, have been altered due to COVID. And then also providing service opportunities. So for example, This fall, one that we did was the Veterans Day project that I described earlier, with the third graders leading the school in collecting items to be sent to those in the active military service, as well as to veterans in our country as well. And then belonging to a community. Even though the structures are different this year, there are still ways for our parents to be involved and for our parishioners to be involved. And so, for example, for Veterans Day this Wednesday, since we couldn't have our normal group of veterans from Eagle County come and speak, we do have a few parents who are veterans who they're already part of our pool of people at St. Clair. And so they're going to go to different classrooms and speak about their experience serving in the military. We also have, since we don't have a dedicated person in the office who's bilingual, we have parents who regularly volunteer for 2 hours a week for a couple different days during the week who are bilingual and help with administrative tasks in the office, and then also provide translation services for us. And then there still continues to be a lot of ways that our parents and our parishioners donate and contribute to our school community, for which we're grateful. And that really gives them a chance to get to know other parents, get to know the kids in their child's grades, and it just really helps form our community. So a little bit of an alumni perspective, if you want to just take a moment and read through, this is a quote from one of our alumni in 2012. And the picture is from some of our alum at Vail Christian High School. On a throwback day, they all put on their old St. Clair uniforms and went to high school in their St. Clair uniforms. And we're very proud of the different ways that our alumni contribute to our school and parish community. So info for prospective students. So our admissions process, families are still welcome to call the office to schedule a tour and to schedule an appointment to learn more about our school. We'll actually have an open house on November 17th. And again, it's a by appointment open house so that we can ensure all the COVID regulations are being followed. We have rolling admissions. Families are always encouraged to do a shadow day with their student. If the family's coming from out of the area, before they come in for a shadow day, we do just check the positivity rates in their area and make sure that they've been following appropriate protocols, but know that that is still a possibility. Our priority deadline each year for admissions is April 15th. Our tuition for this academic year is $5,225 for members of our parish community, whether that's St. Mary's in Eagle, St. Clair in Edwards, or St. Patrick in Minturn. And our out-of-parish rate is $7,920. And tuition assistance is available for families in need. So at this time, if you have any questions, I would be happy to take some time to answer any questions that you may have.
I do have one in the chat box here. Do you know what percentage of the children are Spanish speaking? Primarily.
So as their first language, I would say it's probably about 40% of our students speak Spanish as their first language.
Yeah, I'm watching the chat box, but you all feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. I noticed one of your the photos, it was students at Vail Christian High School. The students, when they leave, are they going throughout the valley? Do they primarily go to Vail Christian? Is it sort of a mix, or how does that work?
Sure. It is a mix with the heaviest emphasis on Vail Christian High School. So usually about 50 to 60% of our 8th graders will go to Vail Christian High School for high school. And then the others generally go to the public school in whichever town they're from. So some in Eagle Valley, some in Battle Mountain. Occasionally we have a student who will go to VSS, go to Vail Mountain School for high school. Or occasionally we have students who will go to boarding schools.
Okay. What was the website again, please?
Sure, I can put it in the chat box for you if that would be helpful.
Thanks.
And I just remembered that on our Welcome Home Bag page on our website, we do have a link to St. Clair, and we do also have your, I think it's your 2019 annual report. if there's a newer version, feel free to send it to me and I can get that link up too. But yeah, there are actually 2 links on there that are regarding St. Clair. Yeah, feel free to check them out or share those with clients.
Probably by about the end of this week, I'd be able to get you our 2020 annual report. So.
Sure. Absolutely.
How many children do you have up to 8th grade?
So this year we have 117. We're a little bit lower with some families not wanting to send their child in person.
Right.
Last year we finished at 128.
Is there room for expansion?
There is, yes. So 6th grade is the only class where we think we'll be getting 2 new students after Thanksgiving. And then at that point, 6th grade will be closed for admissions this year. There's a waiting list, but all the other grades, there is availability in the classrooms.
Mm-hmm. So do you accept anybody, even if they're not Catholic?
We do accept families who aren't Catholic. So there is your normal application process. And so that involves like a teacher letter of recommendation, involves transcripts, etc. So if in the application process, there would be, if the child would have a need that would surface that we don't have resources to meet, then we may not accept the child. But in general, as long as, if they don't have a profound learning need or a profound behavior need, we're able to support them with the resources that we have, and they do not need to be Catholic.
With 40% of your children being Spanish speaking as their mother tongue, and no one is bilingual, how does that work?
Sure. So the kids themselves are quite bilingual. So occasionally we do have kindergartners who come in who have limited English proficiency. Okay. Our kindergarten teacher does have some Spanish, but so there's there's a couple different levels in terms of how does it work, because in Catholic education, we often talk about, the parents are the primary educators of their children, and we partner with the parents who are the primary educators of their children. So it's very important to us that we're able to communicate with the parents so that they have the information that they need in order to be able to support their child. So in terms of communication with the parents themselves, we do, especially our families who are on tuition assistance, we do ask that they meet certain volunteer hours throughout the year. So a lot of our parents are bilingual. So we have 3 parents in particular who are translators for us. And so we have regularly scheduled office hours for those parents who help us translate. And so we communicate to the Spanish speaking parent community that if you have a need where you need to be in touch with the office, these are the hours that we have bilingual services provided in our office. And then those parents, they're going to translate my weekly newsletter. They're going to translate important communications from the teachers, so just to make sure that everybody has access. So that's how we meet the need of the parents. And it's the same at conferences, where we rely on those 3 parents to provide translation at conferences to make sure that parents are getting the information that they need in order to be able to support their child. And then the children in the classroom, there's, I guess, kind of multiple different ways that we meet their needs. So like I said, we don't have any students who are what's in WIDA called non-English proficient. We do ask as much, we have the WIDA assessment. So we have an informal policy that students need to be at least a level 3 on the WIDA assessment in order to be able to be accepted at St. Clair. And some of that's just because of what you're saying, that, if a child would be non-English proficient, how would we meet their needs? So the one exception is the 6th grader who's in the math program that I mentioned. For various reasons, it did make sense for us to accept that student, even though she's going to be more like a 2.5. But in general, we expect students to be at a level 3, which is limited English proficiency. And so their reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills are at a level that we believe that we can support them at. If they, but it still happens sometimes that there's technical academic language that they don't know in English, and that's okay. So if the teacher doesn't know, which is the normal case, our Spanish teacher speaks Spanish, but other than that, and our kindergarten teacher has some Spanish, but other than that, we don't have any teachers who are conversant in Spanish. A lot of times they'll ask their classmates, ask their friends, and there's somebody there who can help them out.
Thank you.
And some of it's just the normal strategies that you use for English language learners. So like sheltering instruction, where you underline, bold things, you include pictures, breaking down tasks. Sometimes it may be chunking, right? So you do this step, do this step. So it's using general educational instructional strategies to support them where they're at in their language development.
What percentage of the enrollment is on tuition assistance?
If you don't mind, I'm just going to pull up my calculator and quickly calculate it. I know the number of raw students and I know our total number of students. So about almost 70% of our students receive some type of aid. So that may be $250 or that may be a couple $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Thank you. These are some great questions too. And I saw in the chat box that Diana put this is an excellent presentation, and it really is.
It is.
I love the drawing.
I would agree. It's really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the drawings were perfect.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you, everybody, for taking time. Heather and I will be respectful of your time. I think in some ways Zoom allows us to be a little bit more efficient. I think probably 10, 12, no more than 15 minutes of your time. But it is a pleasure. Thank you, Mel, for just offering this forum for schools to share more with local realtors. So again, my name is Steve O'Neill. I'm the head of school at Vail Christian High School. This is my 5th year. And for some people that are new to the private school sector, head of school means jack of all trades, master of none. It's a little bit like superintendent. I report to a board of trustees and then have a great team, including Heather, who worked for me. I do have a principal as well, Mindy Larson, who's been in the Valley a long time and is absolutely terrific in that role. It seems like most people are asking the question, you know, kind of more the, you know, how are things going in the pandemic world with school? Normally, I guess my dog and pony show is like a 10 or 15 slide PowerPoint, and I'm gonna not do that this time and really focus a little bit more on what this school year looks like. We created a video that's maybe 3 minutes long that you're gonna see in a few minutes that will give you a window into a major investment that we made in the summertime to ensure, and our slogan is anyone, anytime, anywhere. And the idea is that anyone, truly international families that are in the Valley, outside of the Valley, anytime, meaning it can be both synchronous and asynchronous, real time or lag time, and then anywhere. We currently have families, for example, that have chosen to not be in the Valley and are sequestered in more isolated locations because they have the opportunity to do that. And so we have students, we've been in person 5 days a week since August 17th. We're thankful for that. We've had very little COVID activity so far, knock on wood, in our school. We did have one case that knocked out 7 other students for a 2-week period of time. The student was asymptomatic and nobody else was infected with coronavirus. So far, so good. And we just are taking it one day at a time. We're very committed to in-person because of our expectations around college prep education. Perhaps more importantly, the well-being and mental health of our students, knowing that in-person is so important, but obviously we're always looking at safety and health as the #1 priority. So certainly can't make any promises to anyone, but we are in person, and we do have some students who have chosen to learn in a more hybrid fashion. And if we have to go remote, we're prepared to do that as well. So the video that you're gonna see, we shot it in-house with our film crew. And so it's not real slick, It's a little bit rough around the edges, but I think it's a nice window into what a day in the life of a Vail Christian High School student looks like this year. So after we watch the video, I'll say a few final things. I'll turn it over to Heather Downey, our Director of Admissions, and then we'll just open it up, Mel, for see if there are any questions.
At Vail Christian High School, we strive to be on the cutting edge of education with forward-thinking innovation that enables us to provide students with a vibrant learning environment. Our goal is to provide a synchronized classroom experience, whether our students are on our campus or away from our campus, and to be innovators in education, accomplishing our mission of excellence to serve our students at the highest level. This year, we are implementing synchronous learning for all of our students through robust video conferencing technology. With synchronous learning, our students will have the opportunity to be a part of our in-class learning environment, even if they are unable to be on campus with their peers. It will allow students to experience real-time teaching, regardless of their location, assuring a high level of cohesive learning, both face-to-face or virtually, simultaneously. Our vision is to serve VCHS students, anyone, anytime, anywhere. And our investment in this technology is an investment in our future and theirs. We will soon install state-of-the-art technology using the D10, a best-in-class video conferencing solution that will serve as the core. To complement the D10, classrooms will also have cameras, microphones, and dynamic displays in combination with integrated Zoom software that will help make teacher-to-student and student-to-student interaction real and real simple. Students will receive an engaging educational experience that is flexible, allowing them to see, hear, and fully interact with their teachers and fellow students, even if they are learning from home or abroad. Parents will receive flexibility and the confidence that their student is engaged in receiving the best educational experience from anywhere. Our next generation high-tech all-in-one classroom solution supports the mission of our Saints virtual community, enabling instruction and enhancing interaction for our anyone, anytime, anywhere learning experience. This solution prepares students for a tech-rich landscape, teaching them real-world skills to prepare them for college and their careers. One unified classroom delivers real-time instruction, community and fellowship with teachers and students, promoting participation, presence, and true learning. Join us, Vail Christian High School, leading the way together.
I saw the banner in the background of the video, the project Lead the Way. That's very interesting.
Would you like to know more?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have, it's likened maybe to a certificate program or a concentration program that you might see at a college or university. So Project Lead the Way is a national program that complements the advanced placement program. So we have 16 advanced placement courses that obviously are quite rigorous, and there's a lot of content to master. Project Lead the Way complements it because it takes the content and it's very much hands-on learning, experiential learning, very practical, solving real-world problems. And so we have 3 concentrations. We have computer science, we have engineering, and then we have biomedical. And so there are a variety of courses that students take in those 3 areas. And they actually receive University of Colorado credit, University of Colorado Springs credit. So it's a dual enrollment option as well for students. And again, it's very much practical, hands-on. So for example, if you're taking AP Chemistry or AP Biology, and then you take Project Lead the Way Human Body Systems, it's just a very nice complementary approach between those different courses. And we launched Project Lead the Way I think three or 4 years ago with a pretty significant grant that helped us fund that. I think maybe one other brag point that I'm very proud of is, you know, U.S. News and World Report, you do have to be careful, like looking at college rankings, Forbes, those types of things. It's certainly not the end all be all, except when you're ranked #1, you tend to kind of maybe take it a little bit more seriously and enjoy it while you have it. But for the 3rd year in a row in the entire state of Colorado, we have been named the #1 Christian high school in the state of Colorado. And then we also received the designation as the #6 college prep high school in the state. And the only other schools in front of us were a handful in Denver and a handful in Colorado Springs. And so outside of Colorado Springs and Denver, Vail Christian High School was ranked as the top college prep high school in the state. So we're very proud of that, very proud of our faculty. I think the other thing that's fascinating, at least in the real estate world, I imagine you see some of the things we see, and Heather can comment on this further, but people are absolutely coming out of the woodwork wanting to have their children at Vail Christian High School. And I don't mean for next school year necessarily, although it appears we're going to be at capacity next school year, but just the demand to even get in January, and we really are very, very full. So many people were having to say, you're going to have to wait because we just simply don't have space as we try and keep class sizes at a healthy level. Our average class size is 13 or 14 students in each of our courses, and so we're always mindful of that too. But it's just been fascinating watching second homeowners transitioning to the Vail Valley permanently. People who have holed up in the Vail Valley for a year, their situations, Chicago, New York City, wherever they're, California, wherever they're coming from, people that can work remotely anywhere and are choosing the Valley. So we really have quite a window into the inflow and the stories behind that. And so we're incredibly grateful for that. Heather's doing an amazing job as our director of admissions, trying to keep up with it all. We do anticipate bringing in some new students in January. She can comment on that. We certainly can't manage all the demand, and the incoming freshman class for next year. We have something like 48 slots and 90 or 100 candidates who are in our pool, trying to figure out how to manage that. It's a good problem to have, but obviously we'd love to be able to serve a greater number of students, but we're trying to manage our growth carefully. So I'll leave it at that. I'd be happy to answer questions after Heather's finished. I know she's going to kind of do a little bit of nuts and bolts about the admissions process and maybe also give you a window into what she's been experiencing the last few weeks.
Thanks, Steve. So as Steve spoke to, who knew that a pandemic would be good for business, but it has been very, very busy. We've had a lot of students join us both locally and second homeowners, in addition to people moving to the Valley, which I know all of you are very busy with. So we just, the admissions process has changed a little bit for us this year. We're trying to limit the amount of people in the building. So up until this week, I've been giving family tours with student ambassadors, as opposed to having the student spend the day with us. It's been going very well, and it's, I think it would be great if you have out of town people looking at real estate. I'm always open to squeeze them in for a tour. So just know that, just if you can connect your buyers with me, I am very flexible to get them in, assuming things stay constant in the Valley as they're ever changing. So that's where it stands. Like Steve said, I think we are anticipating that this incoming freshman class will be full. as well as the other grades. We have some spots in some of the upper level grades and certainly incoming freshmen right now. But it's exciting times here, and we're just so grateful. We're grateful that we're busy, and we're grateful that we're here. Our students are really grateful.
Yeah. Good. Well, Mel, I'll just, I mean, if there are any questions that, you know, programmatic questions or, you know, anything, Heather and I would be happy to answer those. We have 145 students enrolled with us. And some of those are international students as well. But yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Hey, this is Joanna Kerwin. Steve and Heather, congratulations on your ranking. I had no idea. I don't have children in the school system. So to hear that you're the #1 school in the state is really, really impressive. I'm almost speechless. So I can't wait to share this with my friends that aren't aware of this either. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It's also really impressive that it looks like you're offering students to learn from home or learn remotely and keep them fully engaged in the classroom. You know, as an outsider, you're wondering, what does that look like? Well, it's so great to see what it looks like, that they're really on the big screen, having a small group session. So kudos to you guys for making that happen for your students.
Thank you.
So here's one question. Where do most of your students come from? What feeder middle schools do they come from?
The bulk, I would say, come from Eagle County Charter, Stone Creek Charter, Vail Christian Academy, and St. Clair. But in every incoming freshman class, we have almost every middle school represented, including Zealous now in Eagle. So it's really a melting pot, but those 4 schools are the bulk, the larger numbers.
And I'm guessing based on the traffic along oh wait, I muted myself. No, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm guessing based on the traffic, all the parents drive their kids to school?
No, actually in high school, a lot of the students, certainly juniors and seniors, drive on their own.
They drive, okay.
But some sophomores as well. Our parking lot is pretty jam-packed.
But there's no bus service. I mean,
there's no bus service. There are students from Eagle. We have students from Eagle to Vail, and there are carpools. So the Vail students, there's students that live in each town, right, and a lot of the parents carpool for the younger kids.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Sure. And I would just maybe add too, just geographically, you know, we're probably 70% Gypsum, Eagle, Edwards, and then 30% Avon, Vail, Minturn, kind of up valley. But lots of families from Eagle, and the carpooling thing seems to work pretty well. Lots of those parents are also working up valley, so it seems to work out. We've teased out the idea of transportation, but it's never really seemed to be a need from our parent community.
And where do most of your students end up going to college? I mean, what ratio actually go on to school or go to a trade school?
Yeah, I'll answer, and then Heather, maybe piggyback off me. I would say every student, I mean, for example, with this particular senior class, all of them have applied at least to one 4-year college or university. And I think our director of college counseling will have them apply to probably, I think she might require a minimum of 3 to 4, keeping all of their options open. And our students range from, you know, the most selective colleges and universities, the Ivies. You know, lots of students will also go to Colorado State University or University of Colorado, kind of some of the stronger in-state options. But I would say most all of 95% head off to 4-year colleges and universities. Occasionally we'll have a student who wants to join the military. We certainly have students pursue military academies. And occasionally we'll have a student pursue a gap year. But almost all of our students are heading off to 4-year colleges and universities, and our school is really designed that way for that preparation and for success. Yeah. So but the other thing that I do want to kind of note as well, yeah, we're academically challenging and preparing students for four-year colleges and universities, but we also have a strong student support program for students with learning challenges, anything from a diagnosed learning disability to some sort of learning challenge. And so we have resources here and faculty here to support those students as well. So sometimes we have to be careful that we communicate also clearly that there's inclusivity there for students that are motivated and eager, but they might, traditional school may be a challenge for them, and so we have support systems for them.
Then I have one final question. How does the sports program work that you offer at your school, since you're such a small school?
You want to try that one, Heather?
Sure. We offer a large amount of sports. However, if a student plays a sport that we do not offer, they're able to play for Battle Mountain or Eagle Valley or even VMS, just because the valley is so small. For instance, we have the boys tennis team. So any boy in the valley that plays tennis plays for Vail Christian. And then hockey, for instance, Battle Mountain has the only hockey team. So anybody that plays hockey plays for Battle Mountain. It works out really well. There's a lot of crossover and the kids all really know each other in the valley. It works out well. So students are able to play anything. We also have a tremendous art, both visual arts and performing arts, theater, studio art, chapel band.
Oh,
And
that's
just
great.
you might, you're welcome. And if you're curious, so Vail Christian High School, we did run the Valley's high school tennis program this fall. So we were able to get tennis under our belt for the season. And we also were able to get in the golf season. And Heather's son was the #3 golfer in state as a junior. So actually Vail Christian, we had two of our young men who both were all state. And then our football season, unfortunately, just came to an end about a week ago. So anyways, we were able to get in 4 games this season and had to end our season prematurely because of COVID. So we would have loved to have continued the season, but we actually officially ended this week. And basketball season for us, both girls and boys, God willing, starts back up or starts up in January. So we'll see how that plays out. But these things are all regulated by the Colorado High School Athletic Association. So we're really at their mercy in many ways.
I would also add that the school is a great place for parents to really get connected if you're relocating here. We have a very active parent-teacher association and just great support for all of the offerings, sports, theater. It's a great way for people to get connected that are moving here from outside of the valley as well. It's harder the older that your kids get, but I think it really helps people. It's like a family.
I just wanted to share something in the chat box. Teresa Smith, who's on the call, her daughter attended Vail Christian, Celia Smith, and she attended Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. She had graduated in 2018 with a degree in video production and now travels the world filming.
Oh, wow.
Sounds fascinating. Also to note, Celia played on the Pepperdine University NCAA Division I sand volleyball team, and she also played volleyball when she was at Vail Christian.
Oh yeah, this was before my time, but I've heard about Celia and all of her accomplishments. So thank you for sharing that.
I do have another question here in the chat box from Christy, wondering about dual enrollment for students.
Do you want to take it, Heather, or do you want me to?
You please.
Yeah, I I don't know if I have the exact number. I think it might be 15, it might be 16, but we have 15 or 16 courses outside of our advanced placement program that are dual enrollment or dual credit courses. And we partner with 2 different universities, Colorado Christian University in Metro Denver, I think they're in Lakewood, and then the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs. So those 2 universities are the universities through which our students receive credit. And interestingly enough, for example, I teach a dual enrollment, dual credit course, American Government, Political Science 207. And so my students have the option to sign up for dual credit through Colorado Christian University and receive 3 credit hours that they can transport to their colleges and universities.
As a parent, our oldest child, we have 3 sons. One graduated last year. We have a sophomore and a junior, and our graduated senior went in as a sophomore into the aerospace engineering program at the University of Colorado this year with all of his AP and dual enrollment credits.
Could you give an idea of what an average tuition cost might be?
I can take that. Our tuition this past year was $23,400. We offer a flex tuition program, which you can see on our website with 5 different tiers, tuition tiers based on income level. And parents need only to submit their tax return to apply for that program. So it's pretty painless as opposed to FAFSA, like for college. So our tuition rate is adjustable based on income.
Our tuition this year is $23,400, but approximately 50% of our families are on the sliding scale. And so that sliding scale has, as Heather said, these income bands. And the bands might, for example, be 175,000 to 225,000 household income, puts you into a band of tuition there that you can apply for, as Heather said, in a very painless way. And if the band doesn't work for you, that income band and the amount, then families can actually go above and beyond and do and go through a third-party vendor that actually out of Wilmington, Delaware, that basically runs their algorithms to determine what makes financial sense for a family. So we're this current year, we're not quite at $1 million, but we're about a little over $900,000 of need-based financial aid for families. So it's a pretty substantial amount of money. And obviously a big part of my job is fundraising for that money. Yeah, the recipe works really nicely. And so we have a lot of socioeconomic diversity at our school. That's always who we've been as a school. You know, we've been around for 23 years. And I think since the founding, that's always been a very important value for the school, is to be broadly representative of Eagle County. And so we've worked very hard to have that. And I'm very proud that I think we have a very representative group of students of what the Valley looks like.
What are your diversity ratios, just high level?
25, about 25%. I just had to input that statistic recently. So that would be mostly Latinx and Asian.
That's great. I'm impressed that it's that high.
In this valley.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with the focus of your school, the goals. So that's awesome.
Any additional questions? Feel free to put them in the chat box, shout them out, don't be shy. I just have one last one myself. this may be looking too far ahead into the future, but you're saying it like enrollment is really tight as far as applicants. Are there any plans like out in the future to expand the campus, or is that just too broad of a question right now?
We're trying to stay open right now.
I know.
I don't know. Steve's more the big picture. I'm more, how many can I squeeze in?
Sure.
You know, it's tough. I mean, the board and I debate this and discuss this often in terms of, you know, the right number. You know, next school year, you know, it's really tough to say what optimal is right now. But to answer your question, we can expand. In fact, when the buildings were built, I mean, if you haven't toured our buildings, I'd highly recommend any realtor to reach out to Heather, and whether it's a virtual tour or somebody's comfortable with an in-person tour masked up or whatever. But our buildings are deceiving from the road in terms of, I mean, I think we have probably the best gym in the Vail Valley, and, you know, a beautiful 600 seat auditorium that, you know, you just can't tell as you drive by on 6 or 70. But when the buildings were built, plans were made for expansion, potential expansion. So there's about 6 additional classrooms that can be built on the west side of our campus, and the architectural plans are already there. So that's something that the board and I have been looking at. And I think, as you know, crystal balling, trying to figure out, you know, will demand continue at the pace that we're seeing it now? It's something that we talk about and discuss. So sorry to be a little bit evasive, but it feels very full right now. And the other thing that's really difficult is you know, we're a lot like a college, that certain courses, like let's just say our engineering courses and maybe our math science courses, they can fill up. And we still might have availability if a person is a fine arts person. So sometimes it's just not as easy as saying we have a spot in the sophomore class. We actually have to look at each student to say, what is it that he or she is desirous of in terms of their college prep experience? And then do we have capacity for that particular student to enter in as we're trying to control class sizes at certain high demand courses, if that makes sense. So right now, that's really what we're doing. We're actually having to build out potential schedules before we accept students to actually see, do we have adequate space for them to be at school? And that's for this year. That's not for next year yet.
I did get one additional question from Christy. Will you talk about clubs and service opportunities for students?
Sure. We require 20 service hours per student each year as a graduation requirement. It is a little challenging this year to get those dialed in, but we try to accomplish those through connect groups with their advisors, in addition to on their own. A lot of the students do have their own interests and do those either individually or with other students. And then clubs, we have, again, under normal circumstances, a lot of clubs. And if we don't offer something that a student is interested in, they can start a club, a chess club. Those things ebb and flow based on interest. But we just try to get students involved in any way that they want to be involved. So we've had unicycle clubs in the past, chess clubs,
hip hop.
We have hip hop dance right now. We've had spike ball clubs. So.
Thank you, Steve and Heather, for being here today. I'll also share with the group, some of you know this, but we do have a link to Vail Christian High School's website and to other local schools on our own website, vbr.net, under the Welcome Home Bag program. This is a program we started in the past year where new home buyers can get a welcome home bag with gifts and information about the community and the VBR in it. And we're always happy to share information on our local schools.
Heather, do you mind just chatting your email address if anybody wants to get in touch with you?
Of course. It's Downey, DOWNEY @vchsweb.org. I'd love to show you the school, and I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime. And we really, really appreciate your support. I know how busy you all are right now. Thanks, Mel.